everyone. This has been a
Welcome.
already. We're just in. But anyway, this is episode 16 of the Pop Shock podcast. Let's hope you can hear us because we had a bit of a technical nightmare and we've been sitting here for about an hour waiting on somebody to It's fine. It's fine. It's cool. Let's go. It's like it's late at night and we're
we don't hold grudges. We're fine.
Let's just do it, man. A lot of burnout energy happening. Probably the last rush before we just crash. After this podcast, we fall asleep.
We might just, if we go nodding, it's fine.
We do have a lot of stuff to go over this week because we've got a fair amount of news. And we've got a fair amount of stuff we've been like watching and stuff, and we're going to break down all the DC fiasco that's happened because my God, it's a shit show. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to sort of cherry pick this news and just kind of highlight stuff that I want to actually talk about. So let's just get right into it. The first big thing. Oh, I'm Dan. He's Chris. This is Pop.
Let's fucking go.
Let's stop.
Follow us, man. Don't miss a beat.
Chris, you are a Star Wars man, and there is a trailer for Andor. What did you think of the Andor trailer?
I was actually thinking, see what we were saying last week? It kind of was it was triggering me some of your questions. Like, I was like, oh, this is a more grime and gritty actual Star Wars you're actually figuring out what I was going to say the scum of the universe. But like the people that are not like force sensitive in that. Like that kind of film. I was like, that could touch Danny's wee buttons, he might enjoy this. But,
I like about to get touched, what can I say? But you just said about the scum, and I actually do that's kind of what I wanted to see, because what I'm actually, I liked the trailer, right? But what I'm a wee bit worried about was I don't really want Andor to be a hero until Rogue One, because when at the start of Rogue One, he's literally, he's kind of murdering a guy for information, and the guy he's killing doesn't seem like a very nice guy, but he's literally murdering a guy for information in a back alley. Like, he's not a nice character. So I kind of was hoping to see him be like a criminal, basically, or like a mercenary anyway, and just like be quite ruthless. And it kind of looks like there is a bit in the trailer where like that's how rebellion is born, and I'm like, I don't want to see like.
It's no supposed to happen at this point. He's just supposed to be a rogue killer.
I hope they're just gonna maybe put that in a storyline for another character. Maybe he's not even in that scene, because I don't know if I'm deciding or not. Maybe it's just the way it's edited. But hopefully that it's not that, and it is just a scavenger, somebody just surviving at any cost, and he's not really getting any morals. He's just doing whatever he needs to.
One thing I loved about it is you saw the clone armor, a proper clone. So I'm like, right, okay, you might actually get the kind of transition.
Yeah.
Or are these the people that have defected or something like that?
Yeah.
Because there was a whole kind of region of that. But I mean, I wasn't really excited about Andor. I was like, I don't give a shit. But no, like after Boba Fett, I was thinking, okay, I loved Boba Fett, but the fucking show was lacking.
The worst Star Wars show so far.
The worst Star Wars, hopefully. I mean, Endor. Is it Endor? Is it Andor?
Andor.
I mean, hopefully that. I don't think. I'm thinking, do you think it's going to be the same what Marvel's doing? Do you think they're just going to do like one season things? Because like wee stories here and there.
They've already said for this they're doing 2 seasons and then it will be Rogue One. So we know.
Right, okay. Okay, so they gave themselves a time period.
That's a 2-season prequel, and then we meet him in Rogue One, basically. And then, spoilers, he dies in Rogue One.
He dies. So, as sacrifices, technically.
Yeah. The other thing about the trailer that people were complaining about was at the start, you see a guy holding a rifle, and it kind of just looks like a normal AK-47 or something, like a kind of...
like a normal gun, yeah.
Apparently, in canon, it does exist. I can't remember the name of it, but it exists in some Star Wars comic or some shit. I just think I see it as the whole of Star Wars as a metaphor for the Vietnam War. Like, so much it was made in the 70s, just kind of in that era, post that era, and a lot of it is an allegory for real world war. So seeing it done, it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not that much a Star Wars geek. It didn't bother me that much. And then when something kind of justified it being like, well, this actually does exist in this comic, I was like, oh, well, fair enough then. But it pissed me off, but Star Wars
like those little details things, I don't think it bothers me one way or the other. Like, I mean, I guess like I think there's one element of like I love Star Wars, but you know the kind of like it's not a DC kind of element, or a Marvel thing. See if somebody was like that when they jumped into like the X-Men, don't have the actual uniforms and stuff like that. That's like a really, really determined fan base to get what they want in it. Star Wars, I don't really care. Like really, it's not really. Like Star Wars kind of ended with the George Lucas films for me. Now I'm just happy whatever the fuck I get. Yeah, totally. The original trilogy, the first three, I'm happy with. Now it's just be extras. I'm not really committed to anything. No, I don't know. Do you feel that way, or were you never on that ride where you're like, who cares?
No, I've always been a Star Wars fan. I've
the same as would you say across everything, like the same as Marvel, or are you just like a fan? You just enjoyed it.
When it came back in 2015, I was hyped. Like I was like, oh, because that's the thing. We kind of grew up with the prequels, and then a lot of, like Star Wars hate after that, just the general public. So we never really grew up in an era where people love Star Wars, like, because I was too young to remember. I know that before the Phantom Menace, people were hyped. I was kind of too young to remember that. By the time I kind of remember, it was like Revenge of the Sith, and people were kind of like, these films are shit. And it's kind of been that since then. So when it was kind of like, oh, Star Wars is good again with Force Awakens, that was exciting. And then Disney just
destroyed it
when they dropped the next two. So I'm just kind of like, at this point, as you said, I'm just kind of like, I'll take whatever I can get, and anything that's good is a bonus. Like Mandalorian being good, I didn't really know whether it was going to be or not.
Yeah, did not think.
I was buzzing about that, and I genuinely think Mandalorian is probably the best Star Wars thing at this point. Like, I like Empire Strikes Back, but I think I actually prefer Mandalorian. Like, it's so good. So, I'm looking forward to Andor. I'll definitely.
No, but that's the thing. It's no like, see, just that wee phrase. Everything now is like, I'll look forward to it. Like, it's not like, there's not a lot of build up for a lot of things nowadays. I think, like, see, because it's all like on streaming service and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember the most recent one was Logan for me. I was watching trailers, and then you went and got to the cinema. You're like, I'm definitely going to watch this. I've not felt that for anything really recently.
I was sort of like that for Doctor Strange, but
really,
yeah, I was watching a lot
off the back of Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man as well, I guess. No Way Home. That was probably the proper one was No Way Home last time I was like that, to be fair. So moving along, this is just a wee quick one I just want to drop in because yes, I was right. Remember last week we did our predictions for I like last week's episode, remember?
Yeah.
For the prediction 6 and Eternals 2 was on there. And everybody.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah.
No, you and Massimo were like, Dan, it's no happening. We're no getting
it's no happening.
Suck it, bitches. We're getting Eternals 2 teased by Marvel voice actor, and apparently Chloe Zhao is returning to direct.
So, I hope not.
Hell yes. I don't know why I'm buzzing because
you're just buzzing because you're right. That's right. Not because it's good.
I realise that it's a mediocre movie that I'm going to see. I'll be like, I'm buzzing that I'm right, so I'll take it. But I will know.
I'm happy for you. I don't take any better. I'm happy.
We'll talk about it because we did cover it last week in detail. So if you want to just talk about Eternals 2 and shit, go and listen to that one. Next thing, this is kind of straying away from kind of comic book news. This is just one that I put in because I'm excited. Martin Scorsese and Leo DiCaprio are reuniting again. So obviously they're frequent collaborators, departed and guys in Wolf of Wall Street. Now we know there's a film coming out from Apple TV called Killers of the Flower Moon, which has been talked about for ages. It's been sort of in development and stuff. So big reuniting between Scorsese and De Niro. Sorry, Scorsese and DiCaprio. And Robert De Niro is also going to be in it. So we're talking about a big project here. However, if that's not enough, there's also been a TV show confirmed for Apple Plus, which they are going to work on together. So, and it will also star the man himself, Keanu Reeves. It will be called Devil in the White City, and it will be about a serial killer. And it'll be directed by Martin Scorsese, and it will star Leo and Keanu. So that is buzzing for me. Like, I know it's not comic book stuff, but
who's the serial killer in that thing? I don't think it would be. It's not Leo, is it?
I don't know. I reckon that Leo and Keanu might be the detectives.
Right, okay. Like 7?
I'm just speculating. Yeah, kind of like that vibe. Like I don't know. Honestly, no idea, but I'm excited. Just those three names alone work together on a crime thing. I'm
Excellent. Yeah.
So yeah, Scorsese film as Scorsese series. Which, as much as I don't want to bring the mood down, I love Martin Scorsese. He's obviously a legend. He's one of the best directors of our generation, 100%. He's one of the best directors of all time. He is getting on. He's 79.
I was going to bring that up. Jenkins' qualities went down. Or...
I don't. I love Wolf of Wall Street. I love Silence. I love his recent films. I do think that, though, unfortunately, fair play to him, he's still working and he's still churning out good work. Don't take it away from him. But how long has he got left to do that? How long is he going to be able? I don't want to be morbid, but how long is he going to be able to keep working at that level? Because it is stressful, like directing these big blockbuster movies for big studios.
Yeah.
It's not an old man, it's a young man's game. Do you know what I mean? It is a hard, stressful job. I know he's been doing it for a long time, and he's probably got great producers that help him and all the rest of it, and he knows everybody, and he's a legend, he's Scorsese. Like, I know all that, but he is still a man entering his 80s. So
Yeah.
I wonder, how long can he keep up? So the fact that he's given us, although it's been a while since we've seen anything from him, the fact that he's given us these two projects, announced just now, I'm like, yes, give us as much as you can while you can, because yeah.
I think he's got a good couple of years. I think he would probably. He sounds like the type of guy that's going to be working till he passes. It's not going to be.
Yeah,
he's not going to take a break.
He loves, which is kind of nice, I guess.
Kind of poetic.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just when you look at his filmography, like Goodfellas and Mean Streets and
Taxi
Driver and Departed, and it's insane. Like Raging Bull, Shutter Island, Wolf of Wall Street. It's
just all the kind of hits after another.
Do you know what I mean? It's nuts. Anyway, let's stop gushing over Scorsese. So yeah, I'm excited for that. But back to geekier stuff, I guess. Next thing on the agenda is right. Okay, I've got DC stuff here that I want to talk about, but I'm going to leave it for now because I'm going to circle back round and we'll do all the DC stuff after the fact. I know kind of what we were here to talk about, but I just feel like, we should wait until we're ready all in. Do you know something? The only other piece of news that I really feel like talking about is the recent things that I've seen today. So they're both Marvel related. One is, I don't know if this is true. If I remember right, I'll put this in the stream here for you to see. In fact, I should be able to drag it over. I reckon if I can. Let me see.
If you can drag it.
Can you see that? So this on the stream. So this year that you're looking at, Chris, you can't see it. I'll send it to you, Chris. Oh no, I've sent it to you already. This is apparently MODOK. This is
MODOK, yeah.
See the robot with the big head, you can see. So apparently this is the design for MODOK and Quantumania. I don't know if it's confirmed. I don't feel like it is. It looks ridiculous. Chris, what do you think? Because I thought the whole point... So MODOK is a ridiculous looking character. He's got a massive head and tiny arms. He looks dumb, right? I heard they were making him into a robot for the movie. I thought, well, that's so he doesn't look dumb. But this robot still looks dumb. So,
well, he is kind of a dumb character, but I think no, that looks like a Photoshop edit one. That's right. It's very low quality. That looks like a render that's a fan's done. There's no way.
I was seeing it going about as quote unquote confirmed, but I don't know.
Maybe it's like the MODOK is. Maybe it's the confirmed that he's going to be actually definitely in it. However,
he is definitely going to be in it. Well, MODOK's going to be in it, and the rumor is that Corey Stoll, who played Yellow Jacket in the first Ant-Man, is going to be playing him. And then the further rumor is that that's what he's going to look like. What was just on screen. So I don't know.
I fucking hope not. That looks worse than fucking. What was that? What would you say is the most horrendous? I was going to say the Hulk. Like in the Hulk movie.
we should do that as a topic. We should do not even just the worst CGI, but the worst design characters. In movies. We could do like Deadpool from the Wolverine movie. We could do absolute worst character designs.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously, it's going to be on there. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. We should.
Well, that's one in the bag.
Yeah. So let's just move on to the other Marvel thing because I kind of want to just get through the news and get on the DC stuff. I really want to talk about that because what a shit show. So the other big piece of Marvel news is that the first look at, I've moved this on screen as well for those at home. The first look at Charlie Cox's helmet in the new She-Hulk Daredevil series has been, and it is a yellow helmet. So we've seen previously in the She-Hulk trailer, you've seen him up to about his chest plate, and that was sort of yellow and red design. And now we're actually getting a look at the helmet, which is also yellow. People on Twitter are losing their shit, saying this.
I saw that. Yeah, this ain't my Deadpool.
I think that it looks cool. I think that it pays homage to the comic. I'm glad they're doing something different. Like, I would rather see something different than just the same old costume. I'm fine with it. But Marvel fans got being Marvel fans.
No, like I get like I think now that they're really like Disney's really jumping on the train of it has to be comic accurate. Like people like anything new we need to do has to be comic accurate because you're going to get backlash both ways. You're going to go, oh, this looks fucking cheesy, 70s fucking comic book stuff. Get rid of it. I mean, my initial thoughts, I was shocked. I was like, oh, why not just use the same fucking thing, change it a little bit?
Yeah.
But see, actually, I seen the helmet. I was like, fuck it. It looks kind of cool. I mean, I don't really have got a massive problem with it. If the story's good, then Daredevil was a good kind of Netflix story. So
while I like this design specifically, I do sort of agree with that idea that maybe not everything has to be comic accurate. But and they're a bit obsessive with that. But my thing is, see if they just keep that up until we get Fantastic Four and X-Men. See, as long as they're comic accurate. See, beyond that, do what you want.
Okay,
make Ghost Rider's costume white. Like, I don't care. Like, you can do what you want with the other characters, as long as we don't get that weird version of Doctor Doom that we got in that shitty Fantastic Four movie that came out with the melted face.
Yeah.
And as long as we don't get X-Men wearing all leather black costumes like the original.
What we got?
I want comic accurate X-Men and Fantastic Four. Everything else, do what you want. That's kind of my take on that.
That's because you like them too. You want them to be comic accurate.
I think it's because we've not had, although the X-Men movies were good, we've not had an accurate
portrayal of them
version yet. So I want to see that for that side, and then for Doctor Doom, I know that we've seen a fairly accurate version with the movies with the original Fantastic Four with Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis and stuff. But those were shit movies. So it's like, you got a good a decent Doctor Doom costume and a bad movie, and you got a good X-Men movie with bad costumes. I just want to see good costumes and good movies. That's all. then I'll be happy. That's what I'm asking for. It's easy.
I mean, it's not a big ask. Not a big ask at all.
So yeah, we're going to move on. Chris, is there any other news that you want to talk about? Because I feel like, although we'll flew through that in 20 minutes, but
no, mine's is all just juicy for the DC stuff.
Yeah,
that's where there's so much cancer in that. In that thing.
It's a can of worms, man. It's I don't know what's going on over there, but there's stuff going down that we don't know about, and it's
people are getting chopped right, left, and
it's mental. Like it's genuinely hard to keep track of. Like, try to round all this news up. What an absolute nightmare!
What a week.
We're going to just give you a wee teaser. We're going to do what you've been watching, but after that, we're going to go through all the. There was an investors call yesterday at DC where they kind of laid out their future plans. They've made some big cancellations, which again people probably know about, but we'll talk about them. And then there's just been good memes and good comments that I want to go over and highlight because there's been some brilliant commentary on the internet. So it's good for a second. I need to run and grab my phone for this segment, Chris.
No.
Content.
I can jump in. You know, it's just my regular day. My regular day. No, but the DC stuff has been so juicy. Like I literally put it back to what I was saying about Alan Horn. I believe that's his name, and I believe I know he's not supposed to be actually starting. I know I'm talking to a chair here, but I know he's not supposed to be. he's not supposed to be actually starting until. I know I'm jumping into just that, but we can go back into what we're watching. But I think my theory is he's coming in to like totally change up the thing and they give direct orders kind of thing to say, see this, cut it, because it's all the direct to streaming stuff that they've pulled. You know, they've made it so it's no direct to streaming. But
we'll get into it, man. It's
there's so much.
Talking about so much, there's a ton of stuff that I've watched and played this week, more than usual. So because that's why we flew through the news, because I've got a lot to talk about here, and we've got a lot of DC stuff to go through. Chris, do you want to go first? Have you been watching anything, playing anything that you want to?
I've been actually waiting for this movie. I know we talked about it before. It's Prey, the Predator movie. I watched that on Friday, and I've also watched. I'll go a bit more deeper in my thoughts, but also The Sandman. Have you looked at that?
I've not got around to The Sandman yet. No.
I would say it's really good. I would recommend it.
We'll touch on The Sandman first, because I do kind of want to know about that. So I'm still on episode 4 of season 3 of Umbrella Academy, and I don't want to touch Sandman until I'm up to date with Umbrella. So that's why I've not watched it. But I'm looking forward to it. How is it? I've heard it's great. Good reviews.
It's like I literally just finished the audiobook for it. So from the Neil Gaiman series on Amazon. So
you then of how accurate it is.
I do. It is. It changes things. It changes things slightly. Like it's like things that wouldn't annoy you, and it's like okay, wait, that's interesting.
So see how there's a female Constantine. Is she like John Constantine's daughter, or is she John Constantine in this movie, but just also Joanna?
I think yeah, it's basically replaced Joanna with John. Like no, John with Joanna.
There's no reference of John.
No, well, there's reference that he's worked with Constantines in the families before.
Right.
They said I've worked with your family for like generations. However, I mean, I don't know why they changed it, really. I mean, probably because John Constantine's kind of a touch his character in these, because everybody loved that TV series with him. I was all right with it. I didn't really mind it. But they didn't want to retouch that in case something happened. But like one that annoyed me, like the actual the story bit with her is a lot darker in the audiobook and the comic. And this is kind of Netflixized, that it's very clean. Right. And you're like, oh, right, okay. I read, because like I'm not going to give it away, but there's like a scene that's like a really grotty place that they go into to find us, and it's like really descriptive in the audiobook.
Right.
And then in the show, it's just an apartment, like a very clean apartment. And you're like, there's no kind of wee changes, like there's no magic, like major story changes. It's just wee aesthetic changes, and you're like, you're like, oh, right, okay. It's kind of removed some of the atmosphere from it, but. I mean, see, Boris, the actor, see the main guy, Tom Sturridge, like, I think it was James McAvoy who voiced him in the audiobook, and I loved that. I thought he should have, I was like, why didn't they just use him? Yeah. He's great, he's Scottish, what can we have, what can we have more? But he pulls it off the kind of stern look. I mean, I'm only halfway through it, so when I'm on the episode when they go to hell, and I was like, oh fuck, this is really accurate. There's a the fight's different, so it's not the fight's totally different. It's not what it was in the comics. But there's like I'm not a person that would be religious with the comics, so I just kind of glanced over them.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing people that are like really like they do have a really strong fan base for this. I think Audible was like the most. I think it outsold Harry Potter and all that stuff.
Wow. Right.
So I mean I don't know how big that is if it's an audiobook, but
yeah.
But no, it's definitely got a strong base.
Yeah, I know it's huge. So the main guy, Sandman, he is good in it though. Like even though it's not McAvoy, that Sturridge guy pulls it off.
I think he pulls it off. I mean, he's one of those characters that you don't know what else he could be in. Like Harry Potter. Like I can't remember the guy's name. Like
does look like the comic. Like he looks like the drawing.
It looks like it. Yes.
But he looks like the drawing. Aye.
He's older than I thought as well. He's about 30. He's almost 40. That actor. I've not seen him in much. Like I've not seen him in much.
17. Like he's
a wee bony structure. I mean, I liked it. I've heard his
name. I don't know if I can think of he's been in, but I definitely have. I know that name. That's his name. So yeah.
He's been more in plays and stuff in that. There's a wee raven in it that I actually loved in the audiobook, but now I double down loved him. He's played by Patton Oswalt.
Right, okay.
And oh my god, he's brought something brilliant to that wee character. That's right. No, I wouldn't say any of those.
How is Jenna Coleman as Joanna Constantine? Is she good? Because I liked her in other things. I think she's a good actress.
I think she was alright. I mean, I've not really seen her much other than the Doctor Who kind of
Right.
series, so I'm like, I don't really know. She pulls off it. She pulls off the kind of John Constantine kind of arrogance kind of thing. It's like kind of a good wee kind of pull on that. But she's very short. She's got a really short period in it, and I think in the audiobook you stick with John for like a good couple of chapters or something like that.
Yeah.
So in this one, you can see it's very condensed. Like I remember listening to the audiobook when I was going to work, and it was like about 40 minutes walking back, and that may have been like a chapter or something like that. So now that 40 minutes has been scaled down to like maybe 20 minutes in the film, and it's like, all right, okay.
So have you watched the whole season?
I've only watched halfway.
Right. Because what I was going to ask was, how much does it cover of the book? Is it the first volume, or is it the first couple of volumes? Or
I think it's the first 17 volumes. I remember Neil Gaiman saying that it's like the first issues or something. I know it's only like it must have came out in like smaller sections or something like that. So
12 episodes or
10 episodes.
10 episodes.
10 episodes, an hour each.
Right. Okay.
17 issues. So it's. I mean, I think it's going to go over to the second season anyway. I don't really like the second audiobook. I don't know if it was as strong as the first one. So, I mean, I don't even know. They might do what they're doing in The Witcher. They might condense these two books into one story, one season, and then do their own thing the next season.
It's better than The Witcher TV show, man.
Do you not like The Witcher? Oh, I love The Witcher. Oh.
Watched the first 2 episodes and couldn't watch any more.
Did you play the game though? No.
I've tried getting into the game. I've tried getting into The Witcher three times, and there's too much to do. There's question marks all over the map, and it's like, where do I start?
It's overwhelming.
I've played it on PS3, I played it on PS4, and I've played it on PC, and every time I play about 2 hours, and then I'm like, life gets in the way. Like, I just don't have the time to help all these people on the map. It's a well-made game. I know that I can see that, but I don't know. No my thing. Anyway, with the Sandman thing, I will definitely get into it. But the other one was Prey.
I want to listen to your thoughts because we had an interesting discussion before. I'm all for Prey. I loved it, but I won't dive deep into mine. Yeah.
I don't want to sort of shit on your opinion of it too much. I just feel that a Predator movie, at the end of the day, you want to see as a satisfying action film. You want to see the Predator get some satisfying kills on some humans, and then you want to see a big Predator fight at the end, right? That's what every Predator should really do, right? No, I don't have an issue. I think I'm probably going to. This is going to be a bit of a theme tonight, I think. As hype levels going in, and I think that is a good lesson. When you're watching anything, manage your hype levels. Yeah. I'm so hyped for this because the last Predator movie was like a comedy almost, right? This one was dead serious. It was set in the Stone Age, which is already interesting. It was being directed. Well, no, it's not. I thought it was set in the Stone Age. It's only set in the 1700s. I thought it was set in the Stone Age, but it's the 1700s. So it's not that long ago. It's also been directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who
done Cloverfield.
The amazing 10 Cloverfield Lane. That is one of my favourite films of the last 10 years. I love that film. So I was hyped. I was buzzing for this. And I found it to be extremely unsatisfying, which I think that's the one thing a Predator movie should nail. Whether it's like cheesy or not, like that last Predator movie we got, or whether it's like super serious like this one, I just want it to be satisfying, and I found this one so slow and such a struggle to watch. I did watch it last night, and I was just wanting. I was coming from work, and I just wanted something entertaining. And the first hour of that film, or the first 45 minutes of that film,
it's a slow slog,
and of Native Americans, and this Predator turns up. It does turn up early on. But all he does for the first 40 minutes is kill animals. He kills a snake, he kills a bear, he kills a bunch of other... And it's like... And it was so predictable. Like, see, last night, I found it so... Like, Jared was the other person that was maybe here today, right? I was just being peeked behind the curtain. He can't be here, which is fine, he's busy. But he was maybe here, and I was commenting in the group chat we've got about it, and he was saying, can you stop talking about it? It's spoiled, right? Now... the thing is, right, that I thought I was actually quite. Obviously, I didn't see this in the chat because again, that would have gave more away. But the ironic thing when he said that was, "This is one of the most predictable films I've seen in a long time." Like, you know, right? See, before I watched this, I could have told you that it was going to be the predator shows up, and he starts like hunting animals, and the tribespeople think that it's just a bear or something, and then she's going to be the protagonist is a female, so she's going to be the only character that's going to be like, no, there's something else out there, and they're all going to go, oh, you're just a silly woman, you don't know anything, and then they're all going to get killed, and then she's going to be the hero. Guess what? That's the film. That's exactly what it's so beat by the numbers, and I was watching it like, is this really what they're doing? And they even do a line where it's like, shouldn't you be cooking something? And it's
like, they do that.
So obvious and so pandering. And I was like, come on, it's such lazy screenwriting. Give us something more in depth. Give us something with more thought to it. It's such a basic play-by-play script. And I was just like, this isn't exciting. This isn't anything. Because all it is predictable character stuff, and then the predator hunting animals. For the first 40 minutes of that film, that's what it is. And it wasn't what I was looking for last night. So I watched it. I watched the first hour because I refused to put it off until I seen a human die. I was like, I'm watching human guys. So he kills 3 guys quite early on, and
quite quickly.
Okay, I think we're just going to go full spoilers here, right?
Yeah, full spoilers.
Skip the section if you're yet to see Prey, but like I said, it's predictable. It's a Predator movie. See what you think's going to happen in this movie. That's what happens, right? So. He shoots with his laser, but instead of in the classic Predator movies, it's like a laser beam that he fires. In this one, it's like 3 metal arrows.
It's like.
So that was kind of disappointing because it wasn't as violent. When he fires a laser, it makes somebody's head explode. So that's what I was hoping for. When I seen that dot in his head, I was like, the guy's head's going to explode. Eventually, something cool's going to happen. And then 3 pins in his face, and I was like, that's lame. So that happened, and then he did cut the other guy's legs off and pin him to the tree. That was quite cool. I didn't mind that death. And then the other guy, I think he chopped his head off. But again, you didn't really see it. There was 2 decapitations in this movie, and both of them you didn't see.
Yeah.
I was like, it sort of panned away. But anyway, so he killed the 3 guys, and I was like, right, okay. And then we watched the first hour. So after that, these French colonizers come into it, and they capture it's a brother and sister trio. Brother and sister duo, by the way, are the main sort of characters. I should have said that. See the boy that plays the brother. Oh my god, he's one of the worst performers I've seen in a long time.
Really? Oh, I liked him.
I am this character, and this is what I am going to do. You're my sister, and this is what you will do. Let's go and do that thing. Like, it was so stunted. I was like, have you got the script just written on the wall? You're just reading it because that's what it feels like. Like, honestly,
I mean, granted, I think that's his second performance. So he's a real actor.
I feel bad slagging people, but it's shite. It's really bad. So, anyway, that happens, and they 2 get kidnapped by these French folk, and then that's when I put it off. That's when I was like, I want something exciting. I put it off. I watched a wee bit of Avengers Endgame and fell asleep watching Avengers Endgame, and that was much better. I did go back and finish the film this morning, and yes, it did get a bit better. There was a point where
turned it off at the best point.
That scene where they're captured, it does go on a bit long, but when the Predator starts shit starts hitting the fan and sort of chaotic stuff starts happening, that was quite exciting. And then the end of the movie was so nothing. Again, spoilers, go and watch the movie. But the brother dies, sort of sacrifices himself, again, super obviously what's going to happen, right? And then she manages to kill the Predator. She cuts the Predator's head off, she brings it back to the tribe, she throws it, and she's like, what's her next plan, or something. And then it just ends. And I was like, what? I just thought it was such an anticlimactic, nothing, pointless ending. I was like, what is that? Do you know what it felt like? It felt like the first episode of a TV show. See that ending? That's how you end the first episode of a TV show.
A cliffhanger, yeah.
And if you're going to continue, return next week to see what happens next. But the fact that this is the end, as far as we know, the end of this story, what a bad what a nothing ending. It felt so. It felt so by the numbers and predictable.
See, that's when I the way I looked at it is it was a short, good 90-minute film that was. It didn't feel like a 90-minute film. I think it was, and it ended like I looked at it as like we're not going to get one after the fucking the Predator. Fuck hell, that was a disgraceful. Like we should
Something.
like
The Predator was bad. I think I had a better time watching that film than I did watching.
No, get to fuck. No way.
Easy movie, but it was a laugh. See, there was funny parts in it. There was entertaining kills in it. It was a bad movie, but it was a better bad movie than this bad movie because at least it was exciting.
Do you know what I liked? I liked about it. Like I didn't like the alien design. I thought the Predator design was why did you keep fucking changing the face? Like just keep it a simple.
Yeah,
it was like what the fuck. But I actually thought it was quite nice. It showed you how that because my point kind of main predictions was how is this 120-pound woman going to defeat the Predator if Arnold couldn't defeat him? Like he had to use all these other kind of things.
and
what is she going to do?
They'd done that line when they were tied up in the tree. If it bleeds, we can kill.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be honest, that was handled a little bit better than what it was. I think the Predator that said that as well, did it not?
The helicopters this movie, but I was generally waiting for somebody to say "get to the chopper." Like, is this how lazy we're being? Like,
yeah, we referencing stuff. Right. See, to be honest though, the film looked absolutely lovely. Like, see when you looked at it, the scenery films, it looked quite nice. I was really quite shocked about it. But no, did you notice that? You're looking for the blood.
So I watched 2 action films this last few days, Bullet Train and this, and the cinematography in Bullet Train is far superior. So I do think I was comparing it to that.
Oh, right, okay.
Both action films, and again, I'll get into the details about Bullet Train in a wee second, but I just think that was a better looking film in terms of how to film action. Bullet Train did it better. Not that Prey done it bad. Prey did do a decent job of it. We've seen a few sort of clever bits of choreography and stuff. I didn't hate that about Prey. I will give it that. I wasn't like loads of quick cuts or close ups or shaky cam. Like it was decent action cinematography. It just wasn't as good as Bullet Train, which was a shame. But
what I liked about it is like it paid homages to the original. I think if you were to rank this in order, it would be the original Predator. I'm actually one of the people that like Predator 2. A lot of people like dissed that movie. I would say the original Predator, Predator 2, and then this for a Predator franchise kind of thing.
Again, talking about hype levels, I had read somewhere that this was the best Predator movie since the first one, or it was somebody said it was better than the first one, and so I went in with like
really high expectations,
and it just didn't meet them.
But
again, I said this to you before. I do feel like people are going to think I'm being contrarian just for the sake of it because Prey's open to
everything's got.
And I didn't like it. And the next time I'm going to talk about Bullet Train has been getting pretty poor reviews, and I loved it. In America, sorry, before we move on, is there anything else you want to say about Prey? Do you want to see another one like this set in this setting, or what do you want to see for the next Predator movie?
I really don't know. What I liked about this Predator movie is it showed you a kind of a story of a person that was told that they couldn't do it. She showed that actually by learning how what they see, they played homage to the mud thing, this quicksand bit. Where like thank God when they saw that, when she fell in the mud, I was like, all right, this is the end scene. She's either going to get covered in mud and the Predator can't see her, and she'll get, and somehow that will happen. I do understand when you're saying the predictability bits, because when I saw these wee bits, I was like, okay, that's how the end scene's going to be. She's going to take off the mask or something like that, and it wouldn't be because when you realise I felt like you were discovering his weaknesses with her. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like the biggest brute in the sense of like. I mean, it was brutal, the kills though. See when he was like tearing away the animals and stuff like that, I was like, that's quite brutal. Like he was just tearing about the snake and stuff like that. But there was no challenge. There was no challenge.
CGI snake though, like
yeah. I mean,
it was very obviously a cartoon bear. I mean, I didn't. Yeah.
No, and I mean, what I liked about it is he didn't win, which was interesting. Like in my mind, like. Because like with the first Predator film, he was like you had the macho guys that thought they were the best, and then they found out actually there's a much bigger thing that's much more powerful than you. But when they came to Earth, the bear nearly killed him. You know, like it bit him like several times before he kind of got raging and whacked it.
He was a dumb predator. Like see at the end as well.
When he looked at
spoilers, but the way that she kills him, she uses his own mask to point the lasers at him and then gets him to fire it. I'm like, how dumb is this guy? Like,
Yeah, how is it?
you're alien? Like, come on, mate. I don't know. I thought the way she killed him was kind of dumb as well. I might say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I liked the kind of way they were kind of structuring it to say like, okay, this is how she's learning. She saw certain weaknesses from him being killed or him being not seeing her as a threat, or the blood thing where she ate the flower and they didn't see the blood. I liked all those wee things. Those were wee things added to the lore. However, I just didn't. I didn't see the impact of what this film everybody was hyped for. I really liked it. I thought it was a good film, much better than, I'm going to say, the Shane Black one. I thought Shane Black was going to do a fucking belter of a Predator film, but that was
me too.
shit.
I was truly disappointing compared to what people were expecting from a Shane Black Predator movie. I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, I think it's a nice direction, and I realised like that's obviously 100% why they never put this in the cinemas, in it, Jink. Yeah. Because of that was such a shit thing. They said do this, but no. Overall, I would say it was good. I would say it's a decent watch. I mean, it's a short film. It is a slow burn to get to the action bit, like as you said.
I do wonder. You speaking about the cinema, I do wonder if I might actually enjoy this better in the cinema, because see, if I wasn't, I'm not going to lie, it was quite a boring film. There's quite a lot of times I did look at my phone. See, if you're in the cinema, you can't do that. You need to focus on the film. So I maybe think that would have been the better way to watch it. You know, if I had that, I probably would have liked to see it in the cinema. But hey, it's 2022 and films like this get released on streaming. So
anyway, Bullet Train.
I'm not going to go too deep in depth here, because one, I'm writing a review. Well, technically I've written a review, it just isn't live yet. And two, me and Courtney are going to do an episode of Food Consideration on this tomorrow, I think. We're going to actually talk about pre-Food Consideration and Bullet Train for Consideration podcast. And what's the we're talking about 3 movies? I don't know. Everything at once. Everything everyone. I think we're going to talk about the 3 of them. We're going to talk about something else. Anyway, point is, Bullet Train, good movie, great movie. I'll just spoil my score here. I won't go too in depth about all the details, but I gave it a 9.
Wow, really?
I was between an 8.5 and a 9.
That's high for you.
Do you want to know how good this film, or how much I enjoyed this film? It had me questioning how I actually score movies or anything, like how I review anything. Because see, at the end of the day, because me and Courtney actually had this conversation this morning, there was only a couple of flaws that I had with the movie, but both of them were sort of intentional. So there's 2 characters called Lemon and Tangerine, played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry. They're amazing. They 2 deserve any spin-off. They're probably the best thing about the film. They're 2. If you don't know the plot, Brad Pitt's an ex-hitman that's kind of just coming back into the job after being away for a while. He wants an easy job for his first mission back. All he's told he needs to do is get on this train, steal a briefcase, and get off at the next stop. Obviously, that doesn't work. Shit hits the fan. 2 of the other, there's a bunch of other hitmen and assassins on the train. 2 of them are these 2 characters, Lemon and Tangerine. So
I love that. Lemon and Tangerine.
That's my code names. And he's Ladybug, and then you've got Lemon and Tangerine, and then everybody's got a code name. So Lemon, who's played by Brian Tyree Henry. Brian Tyree Henry is American, so these 2 characters meant to be from London. They're West Ham fans, so they're English. Aaron Taylor-Johnson is doing his own voice, his own like English accent. Brian Tyree Henry is doing his best attempt at an English accent. At times, it's really poor, but doesn't really matter, because it's a hyper reality comedy action movie. So it's not like if this was a serious drama movie, it would be like, oh my god, his accent's shite. But in this type of movie, it kind of adds to it. It's kind of like, oh, it's dumb, just like the whole movie's kind of dumb. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't really take away from the film. So even though that was a flaw technically, it didn't really bother me. And then the other thing, Joey King's character, she is an insufferable, narcissistic, unlikable, annoying wee shite, but that's the point of the character. Do you know what I mean? And the other characters all address that. They all say, oh my god, you're one of the worst people I've ever met. So that is the point of the character. So again, although it annoyed me, that's the point. So really, you know, I can't really take a point off for that. So those were my only 2 issues with this movie. Everything else, like when I review something, I ask myself all these questions. Did this film do what it intended to do? Like, did this film deliver the vision of the director and the writer, and did it entertain the audience? How much did I like it at a personal level, and then how good were the technical elements? That's usually my kind of criteria. So, like, how good was the lighting? How good was the cinematography, the choreography, the soundtrack? You know, that's kind of like all the shit I think about when I'm reviewing something. In terms of all that stuff, this movie's perfect. This movie does exactly what it intends to do. It's a fun heist action movie with lots of laughs, really funny, and lots of cool kills, good violent scenes, nice fighting scenes, good choreography, charming characters. Like, all of that, no issue with it. Like, it knocked all out of the park. The lighting's good, the action scenes are shot well, the soundtrack's good. Like, it's in terms of that stuff, it's flawless. Like, it does what it intends to do. I also really then the next thing is like my enjoyment. I also really enjoyed the time in the cinema watching it. It was just a blast. I had really good time, lots of fun watching it. So in that sense, surely this should be a 10. But then the question is, because if there's nothing wrong with it, then surely it's a 10. But then the question is, is this up there? Things that I've gave a 10 over the years, like I'm really kind of stingy with my 10s because something really has to be next level. So like the first Last of Us game for me is a perfect 10. The night of that HBO show for a few years ago with Riz Ahmed, that's a perfect 10. Like, there's only certain things that are on that level, and I just don't feel like that's quite on that level. Do you know what I mean? It's not like
you really liked it, but yeah.
I really liked it, and it done what it set out to do. But is it a 10? Like, that's so yeah. That's why I settled on a 9, because when I came out of the cinema, and that was the other thing about it when I was writing my review. Normally, when I see a film, the more I think about it, the less I like it. We kind of spoke about this last week with Black Phone, because I really liked Black Phone when I first seen it, and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, it's dumb. This movie, the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. Because when I came out of the cinema, that's an 8 or an 8.5. That was what I had in my head score-wise as soon as I seen it. And then the next day I was like, no, it's a 9, because it does stuff so well. I can't justify giving it an 8. I would only be giving it an 8 because it's a dumb action movie. But that's not a good reason. See, if it's a good dumb action movie that does what it intends to, then it deserves higher, in my opinion. So,
was it like it's a 2-hour film? I'm looking on IMDb, but is it?
It is quite a long film.
Does it feel like it? Has it got like low bits and no?
No, not really. It's really fast paced, but not fast paced that you can't keep up with it. Do you know what I mean? It's fast paced in an entertaining way.
It's got quite a big cast in it. Like I've not even saw much of it.
The cast is actually, I don't know if we're going to go into spoilers here, because some of the cameos in this movie are really quite significant. So I don't know what name any of them, in case people don't know, because I didn't know that a certain famous actor was in this movie until it turned up, and I was like, oh, there's that person, and I had a few times actually. So it's quite nice seeing these wee faces. You're like, oh god, there's this person, that person. So
right. So was the ones that I'm reading on this, like the famous ones that I'm kind of seeing, they were just like cameos?
I wouldn't want to mention them that it's not on the poster. Like, on the poster, you've got Brad Pitt, you've got Lemon and Tangerine, and you've got Joey King's character, and the guy from Mortal Kombat, Hanada, is it his name? You've got the guys in the poster, so you know they're in it. But beyond that, yeah, there's a lot of wee surprises. So I'll not get that away here. We'll probably talk about that in for our consideration. So, the only thing I want to talk about before we move on from this film, I mentioned earlier comparing the cinematography to Prey.
Yes, let's hear this.
Shooting a movie with intense action sequences, the stunts are incredible. You get people flipping about, getting thrown out of tables, throwing knives at each other. It's quite John Wick, but more jokey, It's the same guy that directed, David Leitch, who directed Atomic Blonde and Deadpool 2. So it's that sort of frenetic, quick action. Shooting that on a bullet train, small train carriages, that was my worry. I was like, is this action all going to feel dead claustrophobic? Is it going to be lots of close-ups and kind of shaky cam? You can't make out what's going on. No, it was shot brilliantly. It was shot using wide angles. You could see long takes of stunts and comedy bits. We kind of, I don't know if it was ad-libbed, but a bit of like chemistry between characters. You could tell that they were letting the takes run a bit longer, so that they could do a bit more jokes or a bit more action or a bit more, and it just helped the movie breathe. And everything, you can make out everything that was happening. It was entertaining to watch. It was fast, but it was never like, you never lost track of what you were seeing or who you were watching. It was never like, where are we? And you always knew where you were on the train. Like, there's very different carriages, and they use lighting well. Like each character's got different kind of neon lights in it. So at a glance, right, we're in the storage carriage, or we're in the first class carriage, or we're in like just for the colours and stuff. It was well done that way. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's brilliant.
I actually was going to come back to you with it. Is that's because of the budget probably? But I just looked up. Prey's budget is around the same budget as fucking that train film, a Bullet Train.
Right.
88 million. I think Bullet Train was like 90 million. I was like, oh well, okay, maybe it is. Maybe it's.
They're both. I guess that money probably went into making both those movies look the way they did. Prey's going for more of a minimalist kind of, I guess, Stone Age type look, whereas Bullet Train's like super kind of neon, lots of like popping colours, set in Japan, so there's a lot of like Japanese
stuff,
Hello Kitty type characters, and it's almost like it's like a violent cartoon basically. That's what it's like, a live action cartoon with violence, with like people getting their heads chopped off.
It's like Roger Rabbit, but more serious.
Meets Roger Rabbit meets Murder on the Orient Express. It's Murder on the Orient Express on acid, basically.
That's what it is.
And it's great. It's really good. I mean, there's not any massive twists. There's a few wee twists, but yeah, it's no that they're not going for that. Do you know what I mean? It's not that type of movie. It's just an entertaining, fun action movie. Switch your brain off and enjoy the pretty colours. Like that is that type of movie. That's what I went for, and that's what it delivered. It's great. Everybody in it's great. Brad Pitt's charming as always. Great leading man. Tangerine and Lemon were brilliant. I'd love to see them. I'd love to see more of those characters. Something else. I
love that. Tangerine and Lemon.
There was plenty of other characters as well that were great, but I'll go into that more in the other
part. Is that like, I'm not going to say like, is that Brad Pitt restarting his career, because he's fucking been around for ages. But do you think that's like kind of gave confidence in maybe like directors or people who want to get him into a new movie? Or
I don't think Brad Pitt's ever fallen out of favour
that
much. But I do think recently he's really found this kind of goofy comedic tone. He's always been able to do comedy, like Snatch. He's funny in Snatch when he's playing Mickey, the Irish boxer and stuff. But in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and in the recent other movie, what was it called? The Lost City. And in Bullet Train, he's playing kind of like cartoony characters almost, and he's never really done that before. So it's nice to see him. Obviously, he's still Brad Pitt. He's still an icon and whatever, but he is getting a bit older. Like he's in his 50s. It's nice to see an actor that's been in the game this long doing new things, finding a new gear. Do you know what I mean? Like finding a new sort of performing gear. It's nice to see that, because Brad, he's the kind of cool. He might make a couple of jokes, but he's a cool, handsome leading man. But not. He can also do this kind of like goofy, almost like in this movie. He's been on some self-help guru course when he's been away, like between jobs. So he's hitting it with all this existential bullshit. Like right now, between you and me, there's a wall. You can't see it, but it's an invisible wall. And this is me reaching through the wall to grab your hand. And he's doing all this like self-help bullshit. And the other kids all look at him like they're pointing a gun at him, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" That's actually quite good. It's such a kind of cartoony way, but it's funny. It works. It lands. Like I don't know. It is kind of dumb and simple, but it's good. Partly because of him. He is always a good kind of comedic talent, and yeah, it's good script, and it's well directed, and yeah, it's really good.
Because that's one thing I was looking at. I was like the only thing recently I can remember him in is Once Time in Hollywood and the tank movie. What was it called? Fury. But like he is getting old. Like when you mentioned it, he's actually 58. He's getting in. He's like 60s.
Oh my god, he looks great. That 58. Jesus. My God, like there's some bits in Bullet Train, you're like, he's one of the most handsome men alive, and he's nearly good for him, man. I mean, tons of money,
he's rich.
he has had his personal problems. I mean, his divorce and stuff last year. So, it's good to see that he's still making good stuff, and he's still.
That's not letting him down. Yeah,
good on him. As if me saying good on him is going to matter. It's Brad Pitt. I'm just some wee guy for glad. It's nice to see. I like Brad Pitt, and it's good to see him still making good films.
That's good.
Right, so the other thing that I kind of wanted Jared here for this because I thought he was going to be here. We disagreed on a couple of things this week. reviews, movies wise. I put in, jokingly disagreed, but I put in the chat that I saw 2 films. I saw Titan or Titan, it's French, and I saw Everything Everywhere All at Once for the second time. And so, right, I feel very different about him. Titan, I didn't like, but I'll go into that in a second. I think Jared did like it. The other film was Everything Everywhere All at Once. That film, I watched it. So I was buzzing for this film before it came out. I saw the trailers. I like Michelle Yeoh. I was like, I want to see this. This looks brilliant. I didn't see it when it came out, and it got brilliant reviews, because that's why I didn't see it. It released in America in the cinema before it released in Britain in the cinema. So that's why we didn't see it at the time. But in America, I was getting amazing reviews. People were saying this is like the Back to the Future of this generation. Like, this is one of the best movies ever. You'll show this to your kids.
Wow.
Classic. Like, this is the shit I was hearing. It's a Wonderful Life for a new generation. It's getting The Matrix. It's getting compared to all these classics.
Wow. That's a big jump.
My hype is just doubled. Do you know what I mean? And not only that, it sustained that hype. Like, I saw it a good couple of months after it came out, and even then, people were still saying, like, this is such a classic. Like, I can't believe how great this movie is. And so I went in with my expectations up here. Going back to that hype thing earlier, it's a good movie. It's a solid movie. It's a well-made movie. It's probably a 7 out of 10. Which normally I would be like again, Sifa seen again. It's hype's to blame. Sifa seen this outside all the hype. I would have probably been absolutely satisfied with that. Cephas had just came out kind of as an indie movie, low budget indie movie, just comes out and I watch it either in a cinema or at home, and I say that's a good movie. That'd have been enough for me. But because it had been compared to Back to the Future and all these classics, I was expecting something life changing, something to be like, for the next 5 years, I'm going to be going on about this film. I don't feel that way after seeing it, which is a shame because it was so built up. As I said, I feel bad saying that because it's a good movie. Like, the performances are good, the script's good. It's just, I have some criticism, and I've put them down here, and I don't know if I'm going to say them this week because I want to debate this with Jared and see what he thinks. But I'll just give you one quick takeaway. It reminded me of a Stephen Chow movie, see Shaolin Soccer or Kung Fu Hustle. It reminded me of those, and it wasn't as good as either of those. And they're not like my favourite. I love Kung Fu Hustle, but Shaolin Soccer is not my favourite movie ever. Some people love that film. It's still better than Everything Everywhere All at Once, but that's where it sits in that sort of echelon, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be anything more than that. But the internet hyped it up so much that I went. Do you know what it was? Right, I watched it at home. I watched it in the living room, and it finished. And I thought to myself, I liked it, but it wasn't. I feel like I didn't get it because it is quite a confusing movie. It's about the multiverse. There's lots of going on in the film. It's a long movie, so it is quite meaty. Do you know what I mean? So I thought I'd missed something. I'm like, maybe I didn't take it all in the first time. Maybe I didn't appreciate it for the nuances in it. Maybe I'm missing something because clearly I don't get what everybody else is getting out of it. That was my first thought. So then it recently got a re-release in the cinema. I came back to cinemas. So me and Courtney recently got an unlimited card so we can go and see all the films. I wouldn't have paid to see it again, but because I had the card, I thought, let's go and see it. Maybe I'll feel different. Maybe seeing it on the big screen, it'll hit me different, and I'll be like, yes, this is a classic.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the exact same way. I walked out the cinema and went, it's a 7.
Okay.
It's my opinion didn't change on it. And again, I feel bad because I feel like I'm bashing the movie. It's a good film. I don't make put anybody off it. I mean, everybody's seen it at this point. I was probably one of the last people to see it, so don't. I'm sure you all know better than me. You've probably made your own mind up, but I just felt like it was a good movie, but it wasn't there like I was promised, and that was a letdown.
That's what I was going to say. I thought I was seeing a theme within when you were watching movies, like you were watching like either Prey and then The House, and then going to watch Bullet Train in the cinema. I was going to say, is it that kind of disconnect where like you're seeing it on the big screen, but if you've seen Everything All at Once in your house and in the cinema and nothing's changed, I'm like, all right, okay, it's no like that experience thing. It's the difference. It's just the movie. You just didn't like it. Well, is it big? Do you think it's because you came to that conclusion when you watched it, and then you went to the cinema and you're just like, I'm not really changing.
It was something to prove to myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I watched it both times with that mentality, which again maybe that's the wrong way to approach it. I watched it both times with something. I was like, right, this movie needs to prove itself as the new
New Matrix.
classic, the new Matrix. That's what I was expecting, right? And it never got there for me personally. So I went, right, okay, fine. I didn't get it, but I'll go and see it at the cinema and then I'll get it. So again, I was watching it and I was like, right, movie, prove that you're a classic, and it didn't do it. And again, that probably did affect my enjoyment of it. I did like the movie. Good writing, good performances, super creative filmmaking. Like, see some of the shots. There's a part, it's a weird movie. There's a part where somebody plays the piano with their feet, and see seeing how they did actually, or it's not CGI, it's real. See seeing how they did that. It's somebody with fake feet stuck out of their hands, and because that was the thing with the re-release, they did a wee post-credits thing where they showed like outtakes and bloopers and stuff. So you get to see how they got certain, and there are certain shots in the movie that it's like, how did they even get that shot? Like it's insane. Some of the cinematography and some of the, it's so creative. It's a good. I don't mean to bash it. It's a good movie. You should see it, but just don't expect
to be blown. Yeah. I was going to say it's probably connected to Big. No, Big when he played the piano in that toy store. Tom Hanks.
Sorry.
But I was like, maybe if the guys put horns on his feet, it must be more complicated than just jumping on
it's
stuff.
Because it's a multiverse, and in one of the multiverses, they've got hot dogs for fingers. So because of that, they play the piano with their feet. So, and that's, you know what, I'm not going to get into my criticisms. That's
that we can leave it for that one.
So the other thing I watched, sorry, I will try and get through these. I know we're taking a while, but the other thing I watched was Titan or Titong or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
This movie came out last year, and I wanted to see it because I seen this director's last movie called Raw. Raw was a weird movie, but in a good way. I liked it. It was a movie about a female character becoming a cannibal. That was the
cannibal.
She's a vegan at the start of the movie, or a vegetarian anyway, and she ends up as part of this cult, and by the end of the movie she's a full-blown cannibal eating people. And that sounds insane, but it's got real emotional depth to it. It's quite a tragic movie. It shows you about the peril, the sort of dangers of following the crowds, because that's kind of what she does. She gets swept up and she goes from being a vegan to eating human
people.
But it feels earned. The actor in it, I can't remember her name, but she was phenomenal. And again, the director, Julia Ducournau, I think Ducournau is something French. Ducournau. She, again, I was like, right, I'm seeing her next movie because Raw was great. So Titan dropped last year, and I had other shit on at the time. I was probably moving house or something. I never saw it. So I only recently got around to it the other night. I hated this movie so much that it inspired an article called "Why Titan is one of the most pretentious films of the last 5 years." So whatever the hell. I'll link the article below for you to read it. This movie, it doesn't, oh Jesus Christ, it doesn't know what it is. Like, it's so frustrating because there's good parts in the movie. So it tries to do so much and it doesn't. It tries to do so much and it doesn't succeed in any of it. That was my problem. It tries to be like The Fly, right? It tries to be like body horror.
Oh, right, okay.
It tries to be like The House that Jack Built. Like, show you kind of like the mind of like a serial killer, like a psychopath.
Yeah.
And it also tries to be an allegory for being trans, and it also wants to explore the idea of the emotional trauma of losing a child, all in the same movie.
Wow, that's a lot to digest.
And it doesn't land any of it. So the movie, maybe not full spoilers, but I'm going to give some stuff away. So if you don't want to know anything, maybe skip this section. Titan opens with this character, this female character. We get introduced to her, and she's like a car model. She's like a stripper, but at like car rallies. So she like dances on cars and stuff, right? That's a major plot point that I won't give away because it's weird.
Oh wow! Okay.
Do you know what? I guess I will, because I need to talk about the body horror. She sleeps with the car, and the car gets her pregnant. Right, that's the first.
What?
Right.
What?
She does a sexy dance for the car, and the car gets her pregnant. Right, so that's your movie, right? That right for the go. It's a weird film, right?
What is the baby? Petrol? Like.
Right, I'll get there, right?
Right.
Again, this is a weird film, but Raw's a weird film, so it's fine. I was okay with that because I was like, this is a weird French indie movie. I don't I've seen.
You've not got a hard judge on it.
As long as they do it, as long as they pay it off in the end, I'm okay with the weird shit, right? I like weird movies. I like. I don't know. I do. I like weird films. So
I love how you're justifying yourself.
so that happens, right? And then she blatantly murders a room full of innocent people. She's at a party, and something happens where she kind of gets the earliest hint that this thing with the car might be stuff happening to her body.
Okay.
So she then walks out and she just kills. She's like a party with her friends, and this girl that's there that's kind of like a partner. She's kind of like her girlfriend, I guess, and she murders all of them indiscriminately.
She kills all her friends.
Wow. Yeah, and this is all in the first 20 minutes of the film. The first 10 minutes is her dancing with cars, and it's quite a cool artsy looking intro, like the lights and the music, and it's quite it's quite like it's kind of cool, like visual interesting. And then the car scene happens, and then she kills a room full of friends. And again, it feels so the editing is like so hard cut, so it's like she'll go for this scene where she's just danced for a car and like all that stuff, and then it just goes to a scene in the house, and then she's getting after this lassie, and then she goes up the stairs, and then something happens in the bathroom, and then she comes out and then she kills our pals, and then it cuts to something else, and it's so disjointed. It's like there's no flow to it. It's so like, rigid. So all that happens, and then Chris, what happens after that? So she has to go on the run, right? So this is the part again. This is an interesting idea. I like this idea. This is the part she sort of has to hide her identity because the police are looking for her.
Right.
So,
because she murdered a bunch of people in a room.
She finds this guy who lost his son 20 years ago. His son went missing, right? She straps her like boobs down and she like cuts her hair and she calls herself Logan or whatever the boy's name was, and she says, "I'm your son." And this guy, it's as if he knows deep down that this is a woman and this isn't his son, but he's so emotionally desperate that he accepts.
That's damage for it, yeah.
And the whoever the liaison person is, the doctor or whatever, says, "Do you want a DNA test?" And the dad says, "No, I trust him. It's my son." And
right, okay. All right, okay. They don't know each other. All right, okay.
So that in and of itself, and like he's a mechanic, and he takes him on or takes her on under his wing and stuff. Like right away, he's trusting. Like there's guys at his job that have been working there for years, and the boy, his son, is getting promotions before these other guys, and they're getting pissed off. That in and of itself could have been a movie. See that, like a desperate parent that gets this person that claims to be their child years after the fact, and they're so like emotionally messed up that they accept it. That's an interesting movie. Just make that. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to have and you don't have to have everything else that comes after it.
Just but they had to.
Right? Now, the next part of the movie, she starts to grow this pregnant belly, and it's sort of metallic. Like her skin starts splitting, and it's really painful looking, and there's metallic insides, and it's kind of gross. And the effects are good, right? The special effects are good. I'll give it that. It's practical and it's gross, and it's kind of like the Thing almost. It's well done, right? But again, right, this is my other point. See the idea of making a movie about somebody transforming into something like kind of like The Fly, but making it like a kind of trans allegory, because that's also what they're going for. They're going for the fact that she was a woman and now she's saying she's this guy's son. It's also trying to kind of reference some idea of what trans people might go through when they're transitioning. Again, that's an interesting movie. Make that its own film. Do a body horror movie about people who've been trans. That sounds cool. I'd see that movie. That's an interesting idea, but not in this movie with all this other mad shit, and like it's just too much.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't deliver. And again, it tries to be like The Fly, but the thing that it misses in terms of being like The Fly wasn't just a disturbing movie because the special effects were gross. It was a disturbing movie because it was Jeff Goldblum, a likable character, slowly losing his humanity.
Yeah.
This monster. That was the horror of it. It wasn't what you were seeing. It was that as well. That helped. But it was more the idea of this person that's helpless. All he did was a dumb science experiment, and a mistake happened, and now he's turning it into
degrading.
a monster. Like that is the most tragic, horrific thing about The Fly, and this movie misses that. And it's just like, look, gross special effects. This is horror.
This is something we do. Yeah.
Not really. Like again, it doesn't deliver on the Cronenberg stuff. So that's the other miss. And then what did I say happens at the end? I don't know. It goes weird. She eventually don't
What
know.
happens to the baby? Does she have the baby?
Right, okay, full spoilers. She has the baby at the end. She dies having the baby, and the dad also knows at this point that it's not his son, but he takes the baby on. That's
What
what
is the baby? Is it a car?
it's
Is it a
got.
mini?
It's got like a metal spine, and it's got
All
like
right.
I don't know.
Oh, that's weird. That's weird.
Mini driver.
Did he get a free car? Like, oh yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, that was
You're like so depressed there. You're like, yeah.
again, this is a hype level thing. This was a movie by a director that I really liked her last film, and at Cannes last year, it won the Palme d'Or, which is like the best film at Cannes.
Right.
High hopes for it. I was like, I was buzzing for it. I was like, even though it took me a year to watch it because I was busy, and I just put things off. I was excited to see this. Like, I was like, I liked Raw. This thing won the Palme d'Or. I got a standing ovation and shit. Like, this is going to be good. Oh no, it's just garbage. Like, it attempts so much and it fails all of it. Again, the house that Jack built was and I'll link the article below that I wrote. I compare it to the house that Jack built, which is a Lars von Trier film. Now, I'm not the biggest Lars von Trier fan either. Sometimes I think he's a bit pretentious, but I like the house that Jack built, and that film shows you a serial killer, but it never asks you to sympathise with them. It never asks you to feel sorry for the serial killer. It
Yeah.
shows you how evil he is, and it shows you his way of thinking. But it's never like, oh, poor him.
Sympathise with him.
Whereas Titane tries to make you, like when she's on the run for the police, the film tries to make you want her to get away from the police, but she's just killed all her pals. They did nothing wrong. I want to see this person in jail. I want to see this person killed. I don't want to be on her side. Do you know what I mean? She's such an unlikable character, and the movie wants you to follow her and care about her, and you're like, I don't want to follow this character. She's a piece of shit. I hope she dies. Do you know what I mean? And that's not what you want when you're trying to tell a deep, emotional story about all these other subjects. You need to be on board with the character. Again, The Fly, you know, he's played by Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum. So therefore, it's sad to see him, you know, transform. Whereas this piece of shit, I'm glad she went through all that. I hope that pregnancy hurt. I hope all that. Do you know what I mean? And then she, again, spoiler, she does die at the end where she has the baby. I'm glad she's dead. She's a piece of shit. She deserves it. Like, I never felt sorry for the character, and therefore it misses the point. It misses the mark. So, yeah. Again, I think Jared liked it, so he'll probably disagree with a lot of what I had to say. And again, like I was saying about being contrarian, a lot of other people like this movie, but I just thought it was shite.
The way you're describing it, they were trying to juggle so many balls that they just like if you're comparing it to the Raw film that you were describing, that they're just focused on one. Like she became like it was like building blocks to like
one
started
idea.
In this,
done it well. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they were thinking, right, next one we're going to take it 10 times fold and go ultra crazy for crazy's sake, or
it does feel like. It feels like, because Julia Ducournau, I think she wrote this and directed it. It feels like she maybe had, I might be wrong about that, you might want to look that up, but I think she did. She obviously had a bunch of ideas. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like a creative person has had a bunch of ideas and they've went, let's just stick it on the
let's do it. Mm-hmm.
And it's messy and it's disjointed, and see it for yourself, make up your own mind. That's what I always say. It's just one guy's opinion, but I just didn't like it. Wasn't for me. Reading my article, I think you might
sympathise with you. They might understand where you're coming from.
The house that Jack built does the seeing things from a serial killer's perspective thing better, and The Fly does a body horror Cronenberg movie better than this. Right, yeah, sorry, I've still got more stuff to go through. So I'm only going to touch on these things briefly because there's only two more, because they're actually both under embargo, so there's not too much that I can say. But I've been lucky enough to get 2 games in advance to play through and review. So if you follow me on Twitter or whatever, you can keep an eye out for my reviews. One of them is called Rollerdrome, and I think I can say this.
You think?
Jared, our friendly Irish brother, he knows the guy that made this game. So it's sort of a friend of a friend making it. It's coming out this month. I think it's out next weekend or something. It's coming out for PC and for consoles. It was shown at the last PlayStation State of Play, and it is basically Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with guns. And it's all super cel shaded and it looks amazing. Honestly, I was really quite blown away. I've only played both of these games that I'm talking about. I've been given them both for review, and they're both due for certain dates. I'm trying to play both of them. I've only played about an hour of each. I only got them yesterday, so I've only played about an hour of each. But yeah, Prey. Sorry, Prey. I'm sorry. I'm just reading this list. I'm getting tired. Velodrome. Aye, it's interesting. It's got. Do you know what it's got? It's got vibes of like the old wrestling games. There's these bits in between. So it's the future, but not too far in the future, and it's like a competition that people watch, and it's these people that skate about and shoot each other, right? That's the idea. And you do these tests as this character, and then that's also the tutorial. And then when you pass the tests, you enter the tournament. But see, between like, the test section and the tournament section, you do this wee section in first person where you walk about a locker room and you're inspecting like your gear and you're inspecting like other people's lockers. And it felt like, remember the old wrestling games in PS2 that you used to do shit like that between matches? That was. I was like, that's what this is reminding me of. But the actual gameplay of riding about and shooting stuff, it's so fun. The music's good. It's got this frenetic pace to it. It reminds me a wee bit of Rocket League in that way, just the high energy, kind of nice, good pumping music. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I'm looking forward to. I don't want to say too much about it because I'm under embargo and I can't say too much about it yet in detail. But in fact, I might actually have to edit some of that out. I don't know. I'll check with my guys at King Gamer. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing the rest of it and reviewing it. And that review should be up. I think the game's out next weekend, next Sunday or something. So that's when the embargo lists. So that's when the review for it should be out.
I love the art style in it though. The art style looks really nice. It's
also very like Death Race 2000. It reminds me of that sort of vibe as well, with the helmets and it's cool.
It's also like it's an interesting concept. Is it single player only or is it multiplayer?
So I think I don't know.
I don't know. I don't want to press it. No,
it is. I think I can say this because I think there's going to be a multiplayer element, but because I've got it early, I've not been able to use it.
Okay.
So again, I don't really know, and I don't know how much I can say, so I'm going to move on. But it's good. I know I can say that it's good, and I'm looking forward to playing through the rest of it. The other one is called Scathe. Scathe is a Doom-like, and it's a sort of bullet hell Doom-like. And I knew very little about this game until I seen the first trailer, and I thought that looks fun. And it is. That's all it is. It is going. Well, that's not all it is. That's all it is so far. I'm going from room to room, and I'm shooting demons, and there's kind of heavy metal music playing, and yeah, it's great, and it's a great looking game. That was what surprised me. I don't know why. I didn't expect it to be as visually impressive as it is. Like when I played it last night, because I've got my decent setup and stuff, I had ray tracing on. I see the reflections in the puddles and stuff. It was really quite stunning. I was like, I was quite blown away with how, because I don't think it's like a team. I think it's quite a small team that made it. They've done some job. It looks really good. It's set in, is it set in hell? I guess it's set in hell. It's set in a hell-like landscape anyway. And yeah, cool aesthetic, very Doom-esque, but I don't care. People might complain that it's not original because it's just our Doom clone, but it's fun, and that's all I need. I love Doom and I love fun games. See if it's a fun game that plays like Doom, I'm happy. And also, there's different elements to it. There's a more of a kind of bullet hell feel to it. There's also, funny enough, another Doom-like that I played a few weeks ago called Metal Hellsinger, which again, it's Doom with a different perspective. It's Doom, but there's a soundtrack playing the whole time, heavy metal music, and you can only shoot in time of the music. So like only you fire, so it's like doom, 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 and then you reload in time of the music, and it's quite like Baby Driver almost in that way. So it's nice to see these studios, obviously Doom fans, that are taking the idea and putting a new spin on it.
That's what I was going to say. It's just a nice wee kind of. It's not like a thing that's dead. Like you can still revive it and take a take on it.
And again, it's not something that it's like, it's been done. There's more to do. There's more to expand. So there's a reason for it to exist, I think. And it's a shit ton of fun so far. So yeah, again, look forward to playing the rest of it and look forward to reviewing it. That one will be out at the end of the month. So stay tuned. But by the time you guys hear this, my Bullet Train review should be live. So that'll be linked below, as will last week's episode of the podcast, as well. What else did I say? The Titanium article.
The titanium.
So yeah.
I said titanium. It's
there, but that was everything I've been watching. Chrissy, is there anything else you want to talk about before we move on to this?
No. I want to jump into the juicy rivers of the shit show.
So, yeah, there's there's stuff to talk about. There's stuff that's happened.
Oh,
since
yes. There's definitely been.
Just by the by, you know what's hilarious? The Weekly Planet have taken a wee bit of a break. They're not podcasting for a month just to have a holiday and chill. They kept joking before they left. They were like, "Bite something big with comic book movies happens when we're away, and we'll miss it." And then the week they went off, this happened. It's like, lads, these are coming back to a shit show. So, yes, if you've been living under a rock, the DC universe
has exploded.
Exploded, crumbled, taking them
in. Crumbled.
to look at this. So the first thing that was announced, let's start for the start. The first thing that was announced was that the Batgirl movie was cancelled. The Batgirl movie, it sucks that it was cancelled because I was looking forward to seeing it. Michael Keaton was in it. Summit was filmed in Glasgow. There was different reasons I wanted to see this film. But it did have a trouble production because this was originally a Joss Whedon movie. Then all the Joss Whedon fiasco happened, and then it was sort of canned for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And DC shit happened where they were trying to do 10 different ideas at once. They were trying to build this universe with Zack Snyder, and then they were also trying to do their solo movies. And we all know what's happened with DC. We don't need to go over it again here. It's been basically put in the back burner until recently. And as far as I know, the film was nearly done. Like there wasn't that much to do. It was nearly.
That's what I was looking at. Yeah, it's nearly finished.
Warner Brothers just canned it. So, do you want to go over your thoughts on Batgirl, Chris, before we dive into it? Because that was the first thing that happened. What was your thoughts when you seen it?
I mean, when I saw it, like, see, to be honest, I wasn't really. I really liked it because it was filmed in Glasgow. That's the only thing I was like, oh, let's see what. Like, I was really in the form of like, let's get our city back on the big screen. But see, to be honest, when I first saw the original Michael Keaton stuff, when you saw him in the suit, or you saw either a version of him in the suit, I was like, oh, for fuck, come on, like, what's going on here? Like, we shouldn't see this. So, like, I was kind of getting bad vibes already, but. I mean, I'm not surprised they're going to do that. My kind of thinking is because they were hired Alan Horn, the previous, for like a new executive kind of guy, a consultant guy. Either he's came in and said this needs to get changed because this isn't connected to anything. And potentially, because one thing that's interesting is they've not cancelled the Flash movie.
No.
Which
I was going to go into that in a wee second.
Wait, because like I was thinking, if you're going to cancel something that's like it's like toxic, just cancel that.
We'll get to all that. What I don't understand though with this specific project, why not just finish it and put it on HBO Max?
Apparently, I don't know if you've heard it, but apparently the people said it was actually bad. The people said it wasn't good.
Even that's fine, right? But just see if it's nearly done and people have worked hard on it. Just finish it and put it out on HBO Max. Like,
yeah,
why not? Do you know what I mean? So
well, you could say like if that. I mean, they could say because like there was like a new executive team. Like I think the guy for Discoveries came on. Like he's actually the guy in charge now. I don't know. Like I think they bought over whatever they have to do. So there's a new guy in town, but he could be like just cleaning the slate and changing it all. You know,
again, what I think they should do, but again, but this was Leslie Grace's statement. I felt sorry for her because she had a starring role and this was a kind of big breakout role, so it was shit for her. But she said that she was proud of her. This is just a kind of generic thank you for their support.
Everybody in the team, yeah.
I'm proud of the love, hard work, and intention all of our incredible cast and crew put in this film over 7 months film in Scotland. I feel blessed to have worked among great people and forged lifelong friendships in the process. To every Batgirl fan, thank you for having belief in me and allowing me to take on the cape and become my own hero. It sucks that people worked on this film, people worked hard on this film, and it's just not happening. Like, it's just, whenever that happens, regardless of what it is, regardless if it's Marvel or DC, or even if it's comic book stuff, it's shit. Do you know what I mean? The directors said that they were saddened and shocked by the news. They didn't see it coming. So it snuck up on them as well. And
that's interesting that it snuck up on them. Like, so that they were none the wiser as well. They just got told one day, bye bye, this isn't happening.
the rug for under them. So Warner Bros. Also issued a statement sort of justifying it. They said the decision to not release Batgirl reflects our leadership's strategic shift as it relates to the DC Universe and HBO Max. Leslie Grace is an incredibly talented actor, and this decision is not a reflection of her performance. We're incredibly grateful to the filmmakers of Batgirl and Scoop Holiday Haunt, which also got cancelled, and that was finished as well. It's a kids' movie, I don't care, but if it's finished, just release it. Like, it's so frustrating. Respective casts, and we hope to collaborate with everyone again in the future. So that was the first big news. The next big news, as if that wasn't enough, Supergirl might also be cancelled. Supergirl had some rights because she went from not really being a prominent character at all, well, she's not been in anything yet, to she might be replacing Henry Cavill as the main super character of the DCU, and now her film might be cancelled altogether. It's like, what is going on at DC? They clearly don't have a clue. Much from side to side, they clearly don't have a clue.
No, I think the because the new leadership, as they were just mentioned, they've just came on. So say I don't know, maybe the beginning of the year, maybe. So all the projects that DC and Warner Bros. Have already put in is through the old leadership. So they are now thinking, right, okay, let's cut what we can, save our money, and build up from what we think the universe should be, rather than what this train wreck has already been. You know, because like if they want to build their whole rebrand, like this is Warner Bros. Is the same value as Marvel. I'm guessing that's what they're trying to do. They're not what I say. Like, and really, realistically, people have been looking at DC movies as like, oh, right, okay, it's just a second-rate Marvel movie. Like, it's not anything compared to Marvel movies. But they need to get back up there. So
so we'll get there with the Marvel stuff. So at this point, two kind of interesting projects were cancelled, and then one project nobody really was wanting was cancelled. Gotham Knights on CW was meant to pilot next year, and no one wanted to see that.
Nobody wanted to see that.
But it's still something else that they cancelled, so it should be spoken about. Now, next after that, the panic on the internet was what's going to be cancelled next. So people were freaking out about Peacemaker. James Gunn had to go into Twitter and basically ensure fans that it's safe.
It's safe.
People were also panicking about Blue Beetle, but we'll come back around to Blue Beetle because I think that's still safe as well.
I think that's, yeah.
The other big one that people were panicking about was the Last of Us TV show because that's on HBO, but apparently it's not affected because it's got nothing to do with Warner Bros. It's to do with HBO Max. So Last of Us is still happening as expected. However, HBO Max then quietly removed 6 titles from their streaming site. They removed An American Pickle, Moonshot, Superintelligence, The Witches, Locked Down, and Charm City Kings. There's only 2 of those I've heard of, so not a big deal. But the point is that shit's happening, clearly. Right?
Shit's happening in the background.
It was then announced that HBO Max were expected to lay off around 70%. That's not 17, that's 70% of their development staff. Sounds like they're not doing HBO Max scripted shows anymore, and with HBO over, so less scripted shows overall, says one company insider. A long list of more original movies and TV shows will be removed from HBO Max soon. So on top of those movies we just said, more shit's getting removed. Content being targeted for removal includes TV shows and movies that are not performing well, but have the opportunity for a partial tax write-off. That's where all this comes into.
Yes.
Hold on a minute. Cancelling this shit. If they can cancel Batgirl and not release it, and cancel Supergirl and not release it,
partial of the money.
All the budget, well, at least a partial part of it. So, companies being companies are scummy. Now, what a surprise. Now, Shazam 2, which was meant to be out this year, is now possibly being pushed to next year. Might come out in 2023. So, yeah, again, just shit changing, shit happening. What's going on? No one knows.
No one's going.
It's that meme where Donald Glover walks in with the pizza and the room's on fire. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
I never heard about the 70% layoff. That's quite interesting. I thought it was just dedicated to the DC film arena, just because I'm like thinking of linking it to Walter Amada. That's what he did. I was thinking of that, but if it is, that means like it's not just DC. That's like everything that Warner Brothers is. Like this, we need to fucking fix this company. Oh, that's a bigger shock.
After this, I was kind of thinking about it all when I was reading all this and kind of collecting all the information. The fact that all this happened a week after they announced that Batfleck was going to be in Aquaman 2, and then this shit show happens.
Yeah.
You went from pure good news to will you enjoy yourself? Well, screw you. We're taking things away. It's like, what? No. Why are you doing that, Warner Brothers?
Their
So
stock must have went fucking down.
at this time, a few good memes and sort of comments came out, so I want to just highlight some of them. So The Rock, obviously been doing all the advertising for Black Adam, his kind of quote keeps repeating the what is it? The hierarchy of the DC universe is changing. That's what he keeps saying at Comic Con and shit. As the comment was, The Rock wasn't lying. The hierarchy in the DC universe really is changing more than any of us thought because it's happening. Somebody else says, this was on the unofficial Michael Keaton Academy of Getting Nuts. Something has to be truly messed up with Batgirl because they released Suicide Squad like it was a real goddamn movie. Yeah, like you're saying, we'll get to the Flash thing, but the fact that they actually released Suicide Squad and backed it and stuff, and now this is coming out about these movies that people were actually looking forward to, it's like, what is going on? What he's doing? So...
I think, see, looking at it now, I think the guys are like the previous people that were running the ship were reacting to Marvel's thing, saying like, Marvel's putting out superhero movies every year. They're making a buttload of money. Let's us do as much as we can as much as possible. And now they realise that's not working, and the new guys have landed with that big pile of manure, and now they have to fucking fix it. Yeah.
So the other side of this that we sort of didn't, we sort of were going to speak about was the fact that these movies are being cancelled while The Flash is still going ahead. That doesn't make sense to me because The Flash, again, has had all these problems. It is also a case of Warner Bros. Have put in, and the whole company has put in too much money to the movie to just cancel it.
Yeah.
So they kind of have to release it, but my God, like...
Apparently, the kind of the caveat to that was the Flash movie is supposed to be reported to be good, and the Batgirl wasn't. So, I mean, I don't think Ezra Miller has any future at all being the Flash after this movie. I really don't think there would be, like, because of all the controversy that he's got. I think they would be right. This is a Flash movie. But there's no other connections.
I think that Ezra Miller at this point, the best that they can hope for is that they just go into rehab or some sort of mental home and just sort their shit out. Like, they clearly need to go to therapy.
Oh, really? Do you think that that's an option, Jake? If he did do that and that was successful, then people would forgive, like, really, the craziness that what the fuck he's done.
Being famous and in the spotlight is a lot for anybody to handle, right? For a young person like Ezra Miller, they've been famous from a young age, and I just think that it's just been too much, and it's just
hit him.
I've been hearing stuff. That's the thing, though. It's not just a recent thing, right? I heard stuff as far back when they were just talking about the Flash movie before Justice League. I heard a thing that Ezra Miller was like an absolute dick in a cocktail restaurant again in Hawaii, which is where Ezra Miller seems to cut about and just terrorise the place like it's GTA. But even since then, so I thought from back then, I was like, this Ezra Miller's an obnoxious prick. But it's just escalated for that, and it's actually, I'm starting to think that no, it's not a case of just being an obnoxious prick. There's a serious mental illness here. Like, this is something beyond just
entitlement and stuff. Yeah,
I think there's something underlying here that's really going to be dangerous. I think this person might actually go as far as hurting themselves or hurting somebody else if something isn't done. Like, I genuinely think at that stage that it's like, and the fact that DC are just silent on it speaks volumes. Like, the fact that they've said nothing about it, it's insane.
But like, if you look at it, like, see, if you look at it from a company perspective, I mean, you could actually look at it as a company perspective and say something about it. It could help you. But like, say it's been going on for about 2 years, and the fact that they've not said anything, they're bringing up the past.
Yeah.
To even destroy even what they've got, which is not great, you know. I mean, because that's going to stab them in the back. They say, well, you've not talked about this 2 years ago, so why are you bringing it now? I can understand that's why they're being silent, and maybe people in time, people might forget. You know, people might like I'm not going to say they will forget like everything they do, but over time, people might say, okay, that's not really important. If it's a good movie, who cares?
Time makes a difference, 100%. And amongst, just moving on for that, and amongst all this absolute dumpster fire, Joker 2 was announced officially.
Yes. That was lovely.
Lady Gaga. It's going to be a musical. That's confirmed, and it's coming out in October 4th,
2024,
which is a while away. But hey, it's at least it was some positive news, and amongst all the shit that we were getting for DC. So,
well, were you happy with the Joker, the first one? Did you mind it, or you thought it was alright?
I liked it. I didn't think it was amazing. I thought it was a poor man's Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Story I've seen before told better, but Joaquin was great in it, and it was a different take on the character, and that was more what I enjoyed about it. I just want see these characters. I keep saying this. And we're going to go into this in a wee second. Don't worry about connecting shit. Don't worry about being faithful to the comics. Don't worry about anything. Take these interesting characters and tell interesting stories, and that's what Joker did, and I respect him for that. It's not a perfect movie, but at least it was something original and different, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't the best, but I enjoyed it. Now, let's get on to DC, not listen to, again, remember I said earlier, no one wants to listen to what I have to say? This is a perfect example of it. So, listen to my God, thanks coming out.
That's amazing.
So DC then announced, after all this shit about the staff and about Ezra Miller and Joker and all the rest of it, they announced that they had a conference call, an investors call. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and they sort of laid out their thinking going forward for the future.
The 10 years, sorry.
They definitively laid out a 10-year plan and said that they will reset the DCEU in a 10-year plan similar to the MCU. This was David Zaslav that announced this, who was the CEO.
David Zaslav, there you go. That's what. Yeah.
So he said, we've done a reset, we've restructured the business where we're going to focus, where there will be a team with a 10-year plan focused on DC. It's very similar to the structure ... at Disney.
That's kind of worrying though. Like, why they just copy Milk? If there's a successful formula, why not copy it? But fuck.
No, I'll tell you why they don't copy it, because they've tried it already. Like, that's it genuinely. Yeah. I probably sound like a psychopath, but I probably shouted at my phone, DC, when will you learn? Like, when, how much does it take for you to get? So, right, couple of things. Right, first of all, if you would, you could have been 10 years into your thing by now if you'd done it like this from the start. Why it wasn't done like that from the start, I don't know. Now, fair enough, done like that, things happen. Stuff like Zack Snyder's daughter passing away, which was awful. That obviously was outside of their control. Joss Whedon stepped in, and then all that scandal came up about him, and Batgirl got cancelled. So there was shit that happened, and then Ezra Miller. All that is not his fault or Warner Brothers' fault. Right? Fair enough. I'll let them away with that. That's fine, right? That's just a problem they need to deal with. That's fine. But see, when they saw that their universe wasn't working, that things like Suicide Squad was getting horrible reviews and whatever, why at that point did they not say what we'd all been thinking for ages? Just let Todd Phillips do his Joker movie, let Matt Reeves do his Batman movie, let people make movies, and they don't have to connect, they can be independent and just tell good stories. Like, I keep banging on about, I know I sound like a broken record, but that, and it kind of seemed like they were listening when they did Batman and they done Joker. It seemed like they were kind of coming around to that idea, and then this comes out, and it's like, DC, how many times are you going to have to go to the box office and fail for this to sink in? Like, it genuinely, it frustrated me so much. But you're a DC fan, Chrissy. This is just my take on it. What did you think?
Do you think that, like, in my mind, when I know he said similar to the MCU, but I took that as not actually connecting a multi-universe, but it's like they are pushing forward with Matt Reeves as Batman, with Joaquin Joker, potential other Jokers, potential other things, but they're going to be independent. They're not going to be connected. That's the way I took that kind of news, because I was thinking, well, that's good. I don't want everything to be interconnected. Let's do a Deathstroke and Batman. Get Ben Affleck's Batman solo film on the go. Let's do that. I don't want a Justice League. I do not want a Justice League from. I don't think it's justified at this point to have a Justice League movie at all. Like, in any film, like, you want to have these characters. We've known that, as you were saying there, that Matt Reeves' Batman was a success. Joaquin Joker's was a success. They're the most successful fucking DC films in the past, like, 7 years, with like $1 billion in the back of it. So they know that's what success is, you know.
I hope that the money making thing will come into play and they will see that, because the panic for me was, obviously we know that Joker 2 is happening, so that's sort of safe. But I was a bit worried, will we get another Batman movie because of this? Like, I hope this doesn't affect the Batman too. Like,
Do you think? Because like that never reached $1 billion?
it's the only thing that hasn't been spoken about yet. Like everything else, like Peacemaker and stuff, has all been confirmed, but we've not heard it for the Batman, and I'm a bit concerned. I really hope that this shit show doesn't affect that movie, because I really enjoyed that movie and I really want to see a sequel.
Because was it not? Was it because I don't know if they announced a sequel yet, but I know Matt Reeves was doing the Gotham TV show.
Yeah, they're doing Gotham TV show, they're doing Penguin TV show, and Matt Reeves has said in passing that he would like to do a trilogy. He hadn't confirmed that it's happening, but he said he would like to do a trilogy. Was what he said. So,
well, maybe that's maybe they're doing that. Like the 10-year plan is for Matt Reeves to do his trilogy, the Joker film to do whatever, and then when Matt Reeves is finished, they then do a kind of MCU thing. Maybe that they're building that kind of structure to justify that. Yeah, I don't know.
Before we go into the future, the last thing I want to just touch on for this investors call, they put up a thing. In fact, I can drag this onto the screen. They put up a thing saying the franchises that they're focusing on going forward, and it's quite interesting. The lineup is the franchises lineup, so they've got different sections. If you're listening to this and not watching it, they've got different sections. One's brands, which is like HBO, CNN, Discovery, DC, Cartoon Network, and Looney Tunes. And franchises, they've got Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Shark Week, Game of Thrones, the Finance Universe, and the world of Harry Potter. Those are the franchises that they've put on their thing. Yeah, I don't know. I find that interesting to see that kind of laid out like that. And then there's another image from that investors call, which states the slate for DC films going forward, and this is a sort of first glimpse of this 10-year plan, but there is gaps in it. So apparently, the first thing from it, sort of worth talking about, is Black Adam. Black Adam is on there for October 1st, 2022. Then you've got Fury of the Gods, which is still officially for December 21st, 2022, but they're talking about pushing it to 2023. Then you've got Aquaman 2, Lost Kingdom, March 17th, 2023. Then you've got The Flash, because everybody needs to see this film apparently, June 23rd, 2023. Then you've got Blue Beetle. Now, Blue Beetle, people were panicking that wasn't going to happen, but it is still on the slate, so it looks like it is still happening. August 18th, 2023. And then you've got your 10-year slate here, which is what we don't know about yet, which will probably start around this time, and then we've got Joker confirmed for 2024. So,
see, just looking at that, like you can see that these guys have no fucking clue compared to what Kevin Feige done. You know, the timeline element, you can clearly, just by that there, you're like, their damage control is fucking awful. Yeah.
So the thing about this is also, it doesn't like they're doing all this because it's as if they're admitting, listen, we don't know, we didn't really know before, but see, now we've got our shit together and we know what we're doing. But see, saying that and then showing us this slate, this slate doesn't tell me that they know.
Doesn't excite me. No, this slate's boring.
Not even that. It's because the thing is, see if you're going to, they're trying to have their cake and eat it. See if they're going to cancel. See if they're going to move forward with a new plan, right? Because the rumour is they bring Cavill back, but they reboot Superman and they do all this shit, right? Maybe cast new Batman and whatever. See if you do all that, right? Why are you still releasing these movies? Like, either see if you're
why?
See if you're canceling shit, cancel everything, cancel
and restart.
All you're doing now is confusing people. Like people were already confused with DC because I know for a fact there was like my parents and stuff and other folk that in my work, maybe like older people that don't keep up with it as much as me. People were like, see when like Joker came out, I remember there was a guy in my work that's a caretaker that I talked about films quite a lot, and he was like, is this part of the Justice League? And I was like, no, it's got nothing to do with it. And he was like, all right. And then when Batman came out, he asked me if Ben Affleck had been recast, and I was like, no, that's got nothing to do with it. So it's, see, for people that don't like follow it, it's really confusing. And again, that must be losing them money, because there's going to be people going to cinema and being like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
what's the point? Yeah.
Marvel, where everything makes sense and everything ties in. See, if they come to this, they're going to be like,
what the fuck?
Black Adam doesn't connect to Joker 2, which probably won't connect to this 10-year slate. So it's like you've got 3 different things going on. Like, either, right, so here's what you do. The thing, I think the ones you need to cancel, in my opinion, maybe not cancel them, because again, I just complained about cancel films. Maybe don't cancel them. Maybe release them and then say, right, see all that stuff we did before with Ben Affleck and Jason Momoa and Zachary Levi and The Rock. It's done. We're no going back to it. It's finished. See, from now on, we're doing something different. We're doing a different stream and a different slate of films, and we're starting from scratch, and we're doing a Marvel. That is what you need to do. Either that, or do what I was saying before, and just let the films be independent of each other. But then again, even that doesn't make sense, because like Lost Kingdom and The Flash and Shazam, they all sort of tie into Justice League.
Yeah.
Because Flash and Aquaman were both in Justice League, and Shazam, you had the kid with the batarang and stuff, and you had like all the Superman references, and so like those films are clearly within the same universe as Black Adam within the same universe. So it looks like he's in the same universe as Shazam, as Blue Beetle in that universe. Like, we don't even know, and that's the problem. It's like, you need to clarify. This still isn't clear. Like, it's as if they come in like Billy Big Boss, like, here, we're going to fix this plan, and it still makes no sense. And it's like, what was the point in doing this if you weren't going to actually clarify it? That's what pissed me off about this whole thing. I thought they were going to come in and say, right, so let's say 2025 as a cutoff. Let's say this schedule here takes you up to 2024, right? Let's say 2022 and 2023, they spend those years releasing these movies that they've obviously put a lot of money into, and we've already seen trailers and whatever. So you have your Black Adam, you have your Shazam, you have your Aquaman, your Flash, and your Blue Beetle over the next 2 years, right? Fine. It doesn't matter if they're good or not. It doesn't matter if they can in a few years' time, they won't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I would market it as. It's like, these are fun films for DC fans, but see if you like don't think about it too much. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I would sell it. And then, see, when all that's out the roads, right? So, see in 2024, for that point on, right, say they do a fandom at the end of 2023, because Blue Beetle's out in August, fandom not in October, isn't it? So, October 2023, they say, right, no more movies from that continuity. See that continuity with Affleck and all that stuff? It's done. It's finished. Now, we're going to announce the next movies for the next 10 years. And okay, you might reboot Superman with Henry Cavill, start again, do another, I mean, I don't know if I want to say another Superman origin movie, but whatever they do, right? New Superman movie, but it's not connected to Man of Steel. It's not connected to Batman v Superman. It might still have Henry Cavill because people want him back, but it's got nothing to do with those movies, right? And you need to clearly establish that and state that going forward, these movies have got fuck all to do with those old movies. Confusing, right? And then you announce your Batman. They'll probably cast a new Batman, I'd imagine, because I don't see Ben Affleck coming back again after this shit show. I think we're lucky that we've got him in Aquaman. And I think they're going to kill him off in Flash. I think that's where they're going to end that character. He's going to die in Flash. That's my theory. So I don't see Affleck coming back. So new Batman probably. So I mean, we're going to have a ton of Batman. We're going to have Cavill and Keaton and not Cavill, Patterson and Keaton and everything else. But whatever, right? You cast. I don't know. You cast Scott Eastwood as Batman. Maybe not, because he's not a good actor. But somebody decent, right? You get a new Batman, and that's fine. And then you go forward for there, and then people know that they're going to the cinema to see a connected universe, like they did, and that's the benefit of this. The audience in general audiences have already seen this done by Marvel, and Marvel's so big that nobody doesn't know how that works. Do you know what I mean? Everybody knows that you go and see these 6 movies, and then you go see an Avengers movie, and they'll cross over. Like, that's the formula, and everybody knows that. So you don't even need to establish that. People know that already going in. You've got as you said earlier, Chris, you've got a formula there that's almost like ready to go. You just follow it. So then you start your plan in 2024. You start releasing maybe a Batman movie and a Superman movie. The following year, do Wonder Woman and do reboot Aquaman with a different actor, or do it all again and then have your Justice League movie after these movies, instead of doing it backwards like you tried to do the first time, which was a shit show, doing Justice League before Flash and before Aquaman. What was doing? A dumb idea. Beside the point.
No, I totally agree with you. Like, see,
I talk shite. Like,
No, I totally agree with you. I'm thinking like what like the DC comics have been doing this for ages. I think it's a kind of a reflection of what the comics are like because they keep revamping themselves. The new 52, then that finished, then they've revamped it again and revamped it again. All you need to do is revamp it the way you said. You can still use Jason Momoa as Aquaman, but in a
yeah,
different universe. You can still use Ben Affleck, a different universe. Change the
yeah,
costume,
it's
do
cost.
something like that.
Yeah,
You can use all the same actors, change the environment. Henry Cavill, you could even play it even more closer to the original Superman. Oh my god, I'm fucking losing my mind here. What's the original Superman's name?
Christopher Reeves.
Christopher Reeves. You can even go you could go that close, or maybe no. Like I'm talking about the kind of the suit. I know it was kind of a modern version. They tried to do that anyway, but they could go in that direction. Yeah, exactly. So like it's not a hard thing to do, and I think people would be that forgiving. Like people would be forgiven if they're seeing these characters justice. People would be like, who cares?
So that's kind of what I'm pitching here, right? When I'm saying all this, what you do is you do your if they're doing fandom this year, right? Come out of this fandom and hold your hands up and be honest and say, listen,
We fucked up.
if I was in charge of it, right, and I didn't have any investors to please or whatever, what I would do, right, I would just come out and say, listen, we know these films are shite. Like we're aware that Shazam was very good and Aquaman was very good. Like we know this, right? It's not a secret. Why would bullshit and kid knowing that we're proud of these films? Like they're shite, right? Be honest, right? And then say, listen, folks, right? I know these films are shite, but we've made more of them. We've made more of them, and we've put money into it, and we can't get out of it now. So guess what? We're going to put it in the cinema. See if you want, come and see it. See if you're a DC fan. It might be shite, but going to come and see it because we kind of want some money back for you. That would be nice. Right? Just be honest. Just be upfront, right? And then you say, right, don't worry about it, but we'll have your back next year, right? And then you disappear, right?
Silence.
2022. Cheers, lads. Sorry for all the bullshit catches, right? And then you come back, then you release all your movies, right? That we just went through, Blue Beetle, Flash, whatever. And then you come back next year, October, November, whenever they do it, 2024 or 2023, and you say, here I've got a surprise. Here's the new slate. And then that's when you do what Marvel just did at Comic-Con. You say, here's Superman, here's Wonder Woman, here's Batman, here's all these characters. You might announce what cast members there are, what costumes there are, what directors there are. You do that shit. And then you build up to a Justice League movie in 2027 or 2028. And then you say, that's the plan, and then you move forward from there, and then you swipe everything else away. But that's not what they're doing. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Do that. They don't need. You can do whatever they want, right? As I said, no one listens to me. But what they should do is either what I'm saying right now, because that will clarify for people, like I was just saying, people that aren't in the loop, that are confused about whether these movies are connected or not. I would clarify it because going forward, okay, you can still have your Joker movies and your Batman movies and they're in separate universes, but you know that you've got a mainline connected DC universe. Because at the minute, that's what I'm saying, we don't even know, is Black Adam set in the same universe as Batman v Superman?
Yeah.
Definitively answer that, because I don't think so. And it's like, the fact that we, us as DC fans, don't know that, and Warner Bros. Don't fucking seem to know it either. It's like, how is that such a shit show that you can't even answer that question? Like that must have messed up your universe list if you can't even definitively say that. Like it's insane, man.
I mean, yeah. When I was kind of shocked that they even done the wee cameo at the end of Peacemaker. I was like, why the fuck are you doing this? You're forcing something that doesn't need to be there.
Franchise, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to attach something on that's successful that was pish. Like Peacemaker was a great show on its own, and they're trying to push it in, and I think they've realised that's not working. So let's try and find a different fucking route.
Again,
and
Peacemaker's a good example of a good original idea. Like I know that I don't love James Gunn, but Peacemaker might be my favourite thing that James Gunn's done. I really like Peacemaker.
But then again, that came out of Suicide Squad, which was shit. So.
Did you not like the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie? I didn't like it, but I thought most people did.
I thought it was much better than the first one.
Yeah, me too. It was much better than the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I feel
definitely. I mean, I did see when I first watched it. I thought this is great because I've kind of got that inner in me that I need to love DC. I just need to make sure everything's great in it, and I've got that kind of. Yeah, I've got that. So, but when I rewatched it recently, I was like, oh fuck, it's not really a good film. Like neither of them are good. Like neither of the two Suicide Squads are ones that you can rewatch. Unlike Iron Man and things like that. See the first
Yeah.
Iron Man, I have watched that about 40 times or something like that over the course of the years, and not got bored of it. So it's like it shows you as well the characters, like see Robert Downey Jr., the actors, the caliber actor. You need to get an actor that's
Aye.
likable. I mean, not saying Jason Momoa or anything, but like he was a good actor to like get on board to kind of get you in the mood of it. You
But
know?
again, the problem the first time I think was DC trying to run before they could walk,
Oh yeah, definitely.
and because of that, they were building the universe as they went. Like Man of Steel was never intended to be the Iron Man of the DCEU. That was never the
It
plan.
got slotted into it. Yeah.
Aye, it was just a Superman movie, and then it was like, right, let's cast new characters and tie them in, and let's introduce what I still can't get my head around. As much as I like Batfleck, why did they introduce a Batman that was like 40? Like, why start the first time you see Batman in this universe? He's like 40. What? Why? Like, no, you start when he's at the start. Like, you tell. Honest, anyway.
Especially if you've not heard of him or heard of anything like it, it's like
And then the first time you introduce the Joker as in a Suicide Squad movie, again, who does things in that order?
I think they were trying to make it all like they thought they were doing a cool thing by doing it instead of saying, "Oh, let's all do it. Let's all do group movies first of all, like the Suicide Squad, and let's copy the Avengers. Let's try and make our Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's do these things because that group film worked for Marvel, but they can't compare. Like Guardians of the Galaxy was a fantasy sci-fi movie. It was a space fucking movie compared to like a kind of criminal extraction movie. It's not the same feel. You've got, as you were mentioned, like say like you would rather see like a criminal movie. Like I can't remember the film we were talking about. I remember we're talking about Seven or something like that. But like the way they've framed Suicide Squad, it's not like a fantastic space movie, space adventure. It's a criminal extraction movie. That's what it is. You can't make that exciting. That's supposed to be tense and stuff like that. And they try to fling it in with Will Smith, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's just like they were trying to copy Guardians' formula, but they've got the tone completely wrong. Guardians was a joyful, fun experience, blah blah blah. And they tried to do that for the Suicide Squad, which was just not the right kick in the boat. And I think they were just jumping on trends, thinking if this is going to work if this works for Marvel, we've got better characters, we can make this swing. And they brought in people like Margot Robbie, which I thought was a good Harley Quinn, and did not fucking nail the landing. And they've not nailed the landing at all in any of the films that they want to connect. See the Birds of Prey? Fucking shit. I like Ewan McGregor's performance. I thought he was kind of good.
Yeah, he was having fun.
But like, I was like, every film you've done, I kind of came to that conclusion recently. Every film you've done that's tried to be connected in a universe is utter rubbish. The Joker film is great. Patterson films is great, and they're not worried about it.
They don't have to fit into anything. They can just be their own thing.
But
and even Peacemaker, although they tied it in at the
end,
Peacemaker,
yeah.
Which again, I agree with what you said though about kind of tarnishing Peacemaker a bit, because it was like, see the knowledge that Peacemaker takes place in the same universe as those shit films, that kind of made Peacemaker worse.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be better.
But yeah. They did not need to connect. I bet you money that was. I don't know if that was James Gunn's idea. I bet you money that was somebody's idea. Said, "Oh, put the Justice League in." You know, like save our jobs. Put the Justice League.
I'm not saying you can't do these characters. There's interesting stories to be told with Shazam and with Aquaman and with these people, but I just think you either need to just explain right now that nothing's connected. Like, definitively say that we're going to keep going with Jason Momoa movies, but they're not going to connect to anything. We're going to keep going with Ezra Miller for some reason, but it's not going to connect. with The Rock, because he's just came on board. I do feel a bit sorry for him because he's coming into an absolute shit show of a franchise. But you know, you're going to keep going with those actors and those characters, but don't ever think they're going to connect. See if they just told us that, even that would be something. But the fact that they're trying to release these movies and make us go and see them and care about them, and then also announce a new slate, and then also have like separate movies like Batman and Joker, and it's too much.
See
It's not
if they
telling you.
done like a nice thing with what you were saying, like do these movies and finish, and then take a break for a year. Start with like Batman or whatever, Superman or whatever,
Yeah.
and then you actually see The Rock in a film he's not been talked about in about 4 years or something, and he's appeared in like, I don't know, some fucking spin-off movie with Batman in it, but you know of him, of his kind of origins, and he's just kind of there. I don't know. I think that could work. You could use the actors in that kind of thing, but you're building a universe, and you're like, all right, I recognise him. Okay, and then you figure out, right, okay, there's another movie coming on in the forward. You know, like I'm trying to think of how that is done in the past, but I don't know. I just think, yeah, you're right. They need to stop right now with their tracks, or else they're just going to dig so much deeper into shit, and it's not going to be good for anybody.
It feels so redundant. It just feels like, why even bother having this investors call and having this thing where like, oh, we're going to do a 10-year plan if it's just going to be the same. Like, this just feels like it's going to be the same shit. You're still going to have confused fans going to see these movies. Like, really what they're proposing, like, see, when you think about how many different universes have DC got at the minute. They've got the Matt Reeves thing with Batman, they've got the Todd Phillips thing with Joker, they've got James Gunn's thing, which even though it's connected, I'd say is technically They've got, again, Black Adam. Is that separate? Who knows?
The Shazam.
They've got Shazam. They've got this new slate that's coming that I assume is going to be different. Then they've also got the old Zack Snyder universe. There's still people saying restore the Snyderverse. Like, they've got all these different universes, and it's like, you just need to clarify. You just need to do something. Because it still feels, even after this announcement, it still feels so scattershot.
Actually, see what I'm thinking, man? See what I'm thinking the more I think about it? I think they're making it so much in the deep that they're thinking, because you see all these game companies that were getting bought up by like Microsoft and stuff, I think they're either going to, in the next 2 years, going to completely drown the stock prices, and then Disney is going to buy them. I can imagine that.
Well, then, see, when you look at, we've said this before when we've talked about companies getting acquired, big companies usually wait until another company's on its back foot and then they buy them. That's usually what happens. Like, that's what happened with Bethesda after Fallout 76. That's what happened with Activision after all the sexual harassment claims. They wait until there's a big scandal and then they swoop in and then they get it at a low price. You might be right. That might be what Disney are waiting for to happen. The last thing I want to touch on before I move on for this, before we wrap up, is, because it's midnight, this is the late this.
I know, I've been yawning.
So, you've mentioned Walter Hamada a few times, and it's came out that Walter Hamada, the DC Films president, is reportedly on the brink of quitting his job. However, he's agreed to stay with the studio at least until October 21st, 2022, to see the release of Black Adam. So
wow, that's quite early.
Hamada could be out by the end of this year, basically.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Was he not involved in the whole Snyderverse though? I don't know. I don't know. Like, because then
I used to sort of even think about it. I don't know. Off the top of my head.
The only reason I'm thinking that, because I know he was involved in the Batgirl thing, but I think he's either been sick of everything that he's worked on is either cancelled or redundant. Like, he's like, I'm fucking out of here. Yeah. Everything that I've done has just been either canned or not received well, so I'm going to give up. But I don't know how that all looks on a CV. Like, everything I've produced is shit. Oh, that's not good in the sense of, if he's like if I'm right, he's the guy. It's like really the head honcho over DC's films, isn't it? So,
I think so.
If he's not happy, then that's kind of a red flag.
What chance have you got? Aye, what chance have you got? So, honestly, man, I know it's nearly midnight, but as you know, I think it's this conversation that's just drained my energy, man. It's so tiring and so exhausting to go over this shit.
It's the same stuff. It's the same thing. You're like, DC, what the fuck's going on?
I know.
Like,
like I said, it's like, when will you learn? When will you get your head around this? Like, it's.
I think you could say it's like a spoiled brat. Like I think, like in my mind, DC have definitely got better characters. I don't know why. I just think, in my sense,
I agree.
they've got so much better
At
characters.
the very least, they've got more prestige characters. Whether you think there might be smaller characters in Marvel that are better, but in terms of their major characters, DC are stronger. I would agree with that.
They've definitely got stronger characters. They're not representing what they've got the value in, and I think either they've been that arrogant that they know that, well, we've got Batman. Who gives a shit? Everybody's going to watch Batman, and nobody's actually took the kind of the response of, we're actually doing really shit movies here. Like, we can't just rely on fucking putting out a new Batman movie every 3 weeks or every 3 months or every 3 years. Because really, that's what they've been doing since fucking Keaton's in 1989. They've just been either releasing with Val Kilmer or George Clooney, and then they relaunched it as soon as George Clooney was finished. They relaunched it with Bale, and then when Bale was finished, they released it with Ben, and then when Ben's finished, so it's like they know that he's like the trio, Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman are the kind of main guys. And it's interesting when you said that's their main slates. So I was wondering, are they going to go with Gal Gadot? Are they going to go with Henry Cavill, or are they going to recast the whole Superman Wonder Woman thing? I don't know.
We'll see.
It's a sin because I love DC. I mean, I would never change boat until I'm guessing Marvel, Disney buy them. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. Because I think if I know Kevin Feige always wanted to do something with like Batman and stuff like that. I mean, who wouldn't? You know, if you're a big story guy, who wouldn't want to play with those figures? So
totally.
I mean, if he's got any pull in the organisation, he's probably saying, you know what, buy them and we can make a shit ton.
What I also wonder is, Feige, Marvel are kind of, they've still got characters to do and stories to tell with X-Men and stuff, because they've not done any of that yet, but they are kind of scraping the barrel in terms of like new characters. They've kind of done all the stories and stuff,
main
like
guys,
Infinity War and Civil War, and they've done all these major comic stories. So it's kind of like, how much more have they got to pull from? And I do wonder, maybe when he's done, like maybe when he's told all the stories for Marvel he wants to tell, he might just want to go to DC and start telling those stories. Could be. See,
I hope like that's what they need. They need. I know they were trying to do something. They kind of had creative directors that just kind of fell apart. I think they had a Scott. I don't think it's Scott Snyder, but they had somebody that was a comic book person that worked on Jeff Johns, and then that fell fucking apart. Like, he was supposed to be the kind of creative director because he worked on all these comic books. That fucked up. But like, they've got Jim Lee. Like, Jim Lee is one of the like the best artists, and also I think he is like one of the creative directors now, or he's definitely got like a weird title.
Yes, no, yes, he's one of the creative directors for the comics, I think.
So, like, I mean, even use his knowledge on how to fucking build a. He's been working for DC for years. Like, use the guys with experience, don't use the guys that have. Like, executives. Like, I would love if Kevin Feige was to come over. Brilliant. I don't know what he could do if the leadership isn't there, you know. See, if the leadership was like... See, that's one thing about Disney, at least I think when under Bob Iger's kind of leadership, he just let the creatives do what they want, and obviously that worked in his benefit. And like the Warner Brothers, because they're on the back foot, as you said, they're probably like worried about saving money with all the tax write offs and stuff like that, but they're just...
I know.
They're now trying to say, right, okay, let's save as much as we can. Let's not make any creative decisions yet.
That's what them Anyway, on that cheerful note, let us know what you think of all this DC debacle in the comments. Feel free to leave a comment on any of the stuff we talked about earlier, Bullet Train or whatever else we spoke about. Let us know if you enjoyed it or not. Leave us a review on podcast sites. Leave us a like on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the podcast feed. Share us if you really like it. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Look out for my reviews on King Gamer. And we will be back next week to talk about something else.
And hopefully get Jared's comments on the two films you wrote on.
Yeah.
You can see the battle.
then we'll shoot the shit. Chris, thanks for staying on late with me tonight, man. It's been a but I'm glad we got through that DC stuff because it was needing.
It was, yeah.
I had to get it off my chest.
You had to express your opinion.
Had to vent and tell them how wrong they are and how much they're going to mess it up even more. But let's
they never listen. It's like a child that's just keeps putting their finger in the socket. You know,
Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back next week to talk about something else. We will hopefully have an episode for our consideration. Record it tomorrow, and that'll go up next week at some point, and we'll talk about movies. And yeah, we'll see you on the next page.
Lovely.
Catch.
That was weird, wasn't it? That was so cheesy.